There was a time building Wonderchef that my personal wealth had come down to 2 lakhs. And I was wondering that day that what is the choice I've made in my life. Success is never owned, it is rented through hard work. My office was in a garage for which I was paying 20,000 rupees per month. In our lifetime journey, we have burned less than $6 million.
Which is extremely efficient for a 500 crore top line.
We are the fastest brand to go from 0 to 500 crore in our industry.
Ravi Saxena pioneered D2C in India with Wonderchef much before Mama Earth and Boat. This episode is a masterclass from the OG himself on frugal innovation and brand building.
Literally every Indian household would have some Wonderchef product. What do you mean by branding?
There is this famous chef called Sanjeev Kapoor whom I have seen on television. Probably I had one thing that a lot of very smart people don't have.
Ravi, welcome to the Founder Thesis podcast. When they say household name, I think there is no better example of household name than Wonderchef. Literally every Indian household would have some Wonderchef product. And I'm super excited to understand from you how you built Wonderchef, what led you to it, and the journey of making Wonderchef what it is today. Can you start with giving me some of your background? Like, where did you grow up? What was your career path like?
Yeah, Akshay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you for choosing me to enable me to share my thoughts, my ideas, my experience, and my journey with your listeners, with your subscribers. It's always nice to talk about one's background, one's struggles, and success. And I hope that many of you listening here are in my chair one day and would be doing the same in your lifetime. That is the most exciting thing you can do. So thank you for allowing me to be here. So I grew up in Delhi, the classic Delhi studious boy, Delhi Public School, Arkepuram, Delhi
That's
Engineering
a
College. I went to Delhi Engineering College to
okay.
pursue electronics engineering,
Hmm.
and so I did that. But over the course of engineering, I realized that I am more comfortable with things I can see and perceive rather than with electrons and holes which I cannot see. So electronics engineering, frankly, never excited me so much. I also applied to US for masters, uh, taking my GRE, got admission everywhere that I applied, got scholarship, and fortunately enough, I was saved from that misery because I got through all the IIMs and I decided to go to IIM Ahmedabad.
Hmm.
And so I think I found my first break there. And I shudder to think that had I followed the sheep mentality and just gone to US and done MS, I probably might have been a bit more miserable in my life.
Yeah.
So uh,
Okay.
I liked marketing. As I said, I liked interacting with people about invisible ideas rather than invisible objects, and create thought process around it. So I liked marketing, and I was fortunate to get the job of a brand manager in Blowplast. Blowplast used to be a very iconic company in those days. Marketeers of VIP luggage, Leo metal toys, which were famous for metal cars and Barbie dolls, office furniture systems, modern furniture, and a whole lot of other exciting new ideas. And I was given charge of brand management of Skybags, which is today very well known. At that time, it was hardly known. It was the soft luggage, new and upcoming brand, but it had stagnated at about 10 crore sales. I got a wonderful boss and their support system, and I conceptualized many products there, listening to just one entity, which is the consumer. And that became the theme of my life in my marketing career, always. So I listened to the consumer. I went out to 25 branches. We used to have 32 branches in those days across India. And I asked our dealers, which is the shops who kept VIP luggage, and the customers who came there, that why don't they like Skybags? The answer was very simple. It hit us in the face. Customers said it's a wrong product because when we take it in the train, anybody can cut it with a blade. It can get wet, it can get dirty. And remember, this was 93. And in 1993, less than 1% India had ever traveled by plane.
Hmm.
99% India used to travel by train. So this was a wrong product for 99% of the people, and we were trying to just push it down the throat of our distribution network. So I came back and I said, well, it will not work this way. There was news of some fledgling airlines coming up: Jet Airways, East West Airlines, Modi Luft, and Damania. And I went to all of them and I said, look, we will do something special for you. There used to be these printed ticket jackets, which young people might not ever have seen in their life. But there
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to be
yeah.
multiple forms in that ticket jacket. And we used to wonder, इतने सारे forms क्यों चाहिए, क्यों इतना paper waste कर रहे हैं, चाहिए तो दो ही. But anyway, they used to be there and it used to flap around. And I said, we will give you a ticket jacket. And behind that jacket will be the brand of Skybags and a small advertisement. We'll give it to you for free, but we will not pay. And believe you me, that was a revolution
Hmm.
because we were targeting exactly the customer that we needed with the luggage that they needed because it's lighter, right? And then I said, let us see how the Western world travels. I had never been abroad till that time. And I said, let us see how the Western world travels. And of course, I couldn't afford an international flight to go and check that out. So I parked myself inside the international airport in Bombay. And I said, let me see. And I was shocked to see, and I had never seen before, that people were coming with a very nice trolley bag, right? A built in trolley.
Hmm.
In India, nobody ever made that. It
Yeah,
didn't
right.
exist.
Hmm.
So I went to Hira Panna market, which is an imported goods market in much like the Palika Bazaar in Delhi or the Burma Bazaar in Chennai. And I managed to get a trolley, inbuilt trolley, wala cabin bag. Came in, stripped it apart, convinced my company to invest in that. And that became the iconic VIP Strolley, which was the first cabin bag of India. It became a generic name. People said, oh, I want the Strolley wala bag. And
Oh,
that,
I actually thought Strolley is a generic name. You coined.
there you go.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
so we created that
Uh,
name.
okay.
And no, it was fantastic. And meanwhile, I was getting headhunted for a very interesting opportunity. So I told them that, look, I have to launch this bag and then I would love to join you. Now, Paris had always been my dream because, look, again, I'm talking early 90s before liberalization started.
Hmm.
We didn't have much interaction with foreigners or foreign companies, they were few and far between. But here, this was a company which gave me an opportunity to come to Paris and stay there for a few years to understand their business and then take it back to India. And this company
Which
was
company?
Sodexo. Sodexo.
Sodexo. Okay. Hmm.
Okay. So in 1994, after working with Blowplast for 1 year, I joined this company and I discovered this beautiful company, Sodexo, full of wonderful people. It was in a very humble business. It was the world's largest catering company, right? Not Shadiwala catering, but catering in offices, factories, hospitals, schools, colleges, etc. They would have a kitchen inside, and Sodexo would run that kitchen.
In India, it's not known as a catering company, right?
I'll come to that. You will be shocked. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
I promise. Now, I had joined the other part of this business, which is the voucher business, meal voucher business, which is how you would know Sodexo in India, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was hired by that voucher business with the idea that they will train me for 3, 4, 5 years and then send me back to study the Indian market. Now, I spent about 3 months there. Now, where does the concept of the meal voucher come? Let me explain. Now, as I said, Sodexo was the world's largest catering company. But where do you do catering? So, let's say in India, there is the large factory of Hyundai. There will be the canteen there. Sodexo will manage that. But what about the 100 sales offices of Hyundai? You can't have a kitchen there. So, Sodexo can't help you there. So there's no parity, because tax free meals are allowed, healthy meals are allowed or enabled or empowered in the factory, but not in the sales offices. So we created the concept of the meal voucher, that wherever you have the factory, we'll give you catering. Wherever you do not have the factory, we'll give you meal voucher, which you can use for food in the restaurants, which we tie up with, pretty much like a credit card company. So that was the meal voucher business. Now I joined this business, and after 2 months, I said, "What is there more to learn? I mean, okay, I understand the
Mm,
business. I've
mm,
explained to you in half a minute. This is it,
mm,
right?
mm,
So let
mm,
me go back
mm,
and
mm,
start this business in India." And my boss said, who was the global head of this business, he said, "Look, Ravi, India is a jungle. You know, forget India. We don't have any presence in Asia, in China, even in Australia, in Japan. We don't have a presence. We are a budding multinational. We are in about 22 countries. So why don't you enjoy here? You have gotten the visa. You have got a work permit. You enjoy here for next 4 or 5 years. Learn in various countries, and then go back." Now, when I look at startup founders today, it reminds me of what I was there that time, and hopefully I still am. Because I said no, I want to go back, because I want to do something with my career. I have passed out of IIM Ahmedabad. I'm not going to chill for 5 years having wine and 3-hour meals at lunch and dinner. And I want to go back to see if I can do something in India.
mm,
And then he said, "Okay, then you go back at your own risk, because if it doesn't work out, we may not be able to bring you back." I said, "That's okay. That's fine." So in the beginning of 95, I came back to India with almost no support system, because I was the only person, first and only person of Sodexo in India. And the status remained the same for next 2 years, the hardest 2 years of my life, because you have dedicated your life as a young MBA to a company which is not known. It's not sure whether the business will ever get launched. And to begin with, there was no supporting law, because, as I said, meal voucher has to be tax free to bring in parity with the tax free factory meals. And for that, we had to do something which was called lobbying, and with the government. And now, lobbying often is a dirty word, but Sodexo was a squeaky clean company. It would never pay any money for any lobbying. So they said, "You just make representations to the government." And here I was, as a 25-year-old, settled. I went back to Delhi, and I started visiting North Block, South Block, anybody who would care to listen to me. But it was just this unbridled enthusiasm. Long story short, I managed to create so much enthusiasm, even within the government circles, that after 1 year of these continuous meetings and presentations and making these relationships, we got a favorable law to support the meal voucher business, to bring parity with the factory meals.
mm,
And as per that law, we could issue 35 rupees worth of meal voucher every day, and that would be tax free.
mm,
Now, the story was not over as yet. I was celebrating that, wow, okay, we have the law, we launched the business. The company said, "No, no, no. First, we have to see whether with this law we can make money in India or not. So please do a market research across India." And that was a terrible time, because I was wondering, ab kya? But anyway, I went around, interviewed a whole lot of people, excited them about the idea, and nobody would understand ki why do we even need that, because this was the time when in India you could easily give bucks in cash, travel allowance, medical allowance, this allowance, that allowance. They said,
mm,
anyway we can give tax free bucks. No, why do we need to give this instrument which will cost us money?
mm,
Then where are the restaurants? If I were to go to restaurants, they would say, where are the coupons coming from? So it was really a chicken and egg situation. But finally the company was nice enough to trust me, and they said, okay, launch the business. I came back to Bombay, and I launched Sodexo sometime in 97 beginning. And the rest is history. Over the next 10 odd years, I built 5 businesses of Sodexo in India, built wonderful teams. So we started with meal voucher. Then
How
I
did you
concept,
solve that problem? Like customers were saying there are other ways to give perks to employees through cash. Why use
very good
Sodexo?
question. I hope you would not ask that. So, no, so look, it was a classic chicken and egg situation, right? First of all, how to solve that problem. Secondly, how to solve the problem that there are no restaurants which are accepting coupons. When you go to restaurants, even small ODP restaurants, we had to go and sit for hours and hours to convince them कि भैया ले लो. And they didn't
Hmm.
want to take, because they didn't even take credit cards. And
Yeah.
with 35 rupee coupon, you cannot go to a five-star hotel. So it was really a very tough problem to crack. And I think I uh, did a few good things. First, I managed to build a small team, 4 or 5 people, of really highly enthusiastic people. Couple of them are still with me, after 30 years. They're still with me in VP positions and all, after 3 organizations that I've changed. And this unbridled enthusiasm would infect the people in companies, in restaurants, and they would say, okay, we'll give it a try. However, since you ask, I'll tell you the real story.
Okay.
So 6 months, we opened a small office in Nariman Point, which was the only place where you could have an office back then. There was no BKC, by the way, in those days. Bandra Kurla complex didn't exist. And if you didn't have an office in South Bombay, you are not a credible company.
Hmm.
I used to stay in Bandra. So 1.5 hours of travel every day on one side. But we would be in office at 9 in the morning, and we would leave office at 12 at night. You know, all the salespeople, including me, would come back at about 8 o'clock. Then we will analyze every single discussion that we had, how to position it better, and so on. 6 months, nobody bought the voucher. Nobody. Okay. And then one day, we got a call. On my landline, I remember I picked up and said, hey, are you the guys who supply some coupons and all with which we can get food? I said, yes, yes. Oh, please come. Our ceiling has fallen. I said, what ceiling? Where? They said, there is this building in Poonam Chambers. There used to be these Poonam Chambers in Worli. Our ceiling has fallen. And I said, hopefully nobody's hurt. They said, no, it's the ceiling of the kitchen, the cafeteria that we had. So our cafeteria is no more functional. So we need the coupon. So that's how we got our first client,
Hmm.
50 people.
Hmm.
So always there is some divine intervention, when you when you start
Yeah.
anything big.
Yeah.
And I think this was our divine intervention. So first client, everyone was so motivated, and we tied up with the restaurants around that. And then step by step, it took a lot of patience. I mean, people often ask me, especially my classmates, ki, "Yaar, you were not necessarily the smartest guy in the class. So how come you built all these businesses?" I said, probably I had one thing that a lot of very smart people don't have, which is patience. I was simply patient. That I have to, once I have taken a responsibility, I will deliver. You know. So to last for those 2 years alone in the country when nobody was around, and every day I would almost get depressive. Ki kahan ja raha hai mera career? And the more you dig in, the more you get stuck, because now I have given 2 years, now I've given 3 years to this company. How can I get out?
Hmm.
And so I had patience, and we just kept digging, and slowly the meal voucher started spreading. But one another smart thing that we did was that I managed to position the meal voucher as an HR perquisite. Now this was a very smart move, because we created this positioning by tying up with various HR forums. And so we realized that, and we created various HR forums. I tied up with various HR practitioners, and we used to have these forums across all the metros of India. We didn't have much money. I was very frugal with the expenditure. I mean, of course, the company had a lot of money. It was a big multinational by then, but I was very frugal. The only thing we used to sponsor was the HR awards, a simple trophy which we used to get for 300-400 rupees. We would
Hmm.
sponsor maybe 10 trophies. But
Wow.
you know what? It was the enthusiasm,
Hmm.
because my team would be there like the host. There would be people who would be paying lakhs of rupees in sponsorships. We would be investing maybe 5,000 rupees in the trophies.
Hmm.
But my team was there. The people who gave lakhs of rupees, they were nowhere to be seen. Only their logo would be seen. My team was there. When, let's say, there is this program in, take an example, Nehru Center. Okay, my team would be there. They would put up a table. They would be doing the registration, and my HR partners were happy to have some team working for them, because otherwise they would have to hire some, temp
Hmm.
workers. So we would do all that. We would ask everybody, आपको समोसा खाना है, ये खाना है, वो खाना है, you pay, but just खाना है कि नहीं आपको,
Hmm.
right? And then at the end, there used to be a dinner typically, and my team would invite everybody, sir, aapne khana khaya, aapne khana khaya. So we took complete ownership of the whole thing. That was the trick. And we would eat in the end. It was sacrilege if any one of us would eat before. Sab kha ke chale gaye, tab hum log baithenge, and we will, you know, debrief and we will eat. So these simple hacks, So, and I think that's the story of my life. Sincerity, belief, patience, and enthusiasm. A combination of all this, day after day, day after day. In fact, in the morning, I got a very nice forward saying that success is never owned; it is rented through hard work every day. And I said, wow. One day after Diwali, we are all at office. So see the commitment, while a lot of offices are on holiday. Okay. And that is what we do. We don't take success for granted. We take it as rented. You have to work hard, earn your living every day. So that's what we did. And with very frugal amount of investment, Sodexo became a buzzword because the HR managers, they wanted to have that trophy. And those who didn't, they got a heartburn. But in their mind, Sodexo was somebody who was appreciating their work. So next time a salesman called, instead of getting the door shut in his face, they would get an open door, a welcome, and the HR manager would be happy to listen to their story. And we managed to position कि अगर if you are giving Sodexo coupons for meal, that means you are taking care of your employees. You are a good HR manager. And in the next 10 years or so, there were almost, when I left the company, there were almost 20,000 companies using the meal coupon. Okay. And it became a buzzword.
Were there other like regulation related factors, market forces also, which helped in the adoption?
Look, it will get a little bit complex. It's not so complex to understand, but it's funny. Again, let me share if you ask. Uh, After I left, 6 months after that, the global HR head and global finance head of Sodexo came to India and called me for a meeting. And we had a nice dinner and everything. And I could see that they wanted to ask me something. So I said, okay, really, what is it that you want to ask? I said, Ravi, we have a funny question. We don't know whether you will understand or not. And we have asked everybody, of course, in the company. And all my teams, remember, they had been around with me for 9, 10 years by then, and they were all there. And they asked me, Ravi, why do people buy the meal coupon in India?
Yeah, yeah, that was my question too. It can't just be the feel good factor, right?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Of course, one, to the tune of 35 rupees, which was later increased to 50 rupees per day, it was tax free. But Sodexo does not launch the meal voucher in any country under such a situation. It launches only if it is tax free for the employee, but also tax friendly for the company. Now, how
So,
does it become tax friendly for the company?
right.
Okay. Now, the meal voucher business was popular in Western Europe and Latin America because these are social countries. It was not popular in Anglo Dutch countries because Anglo Dutch are not social countries that way. So, what do I mean by that? The social protection that you have in a France or Portugal or even Germany to some extent, or Italy or Greece, is far higher than in England or Netherlands or USA. So, your kids can study free for life. If you retire, you are taken care of medically. Not in US, right? You need medical insurance. So that's the Anglo Dutch. Now, the social countries, where do they finance their scheme from? That's from that social component or tax charges which are levied on your salary.
Amazing. You said you set up 5 businesses for Sodexo. So one, of course, is meal voucher. What are the other 4?
So then, एक बारी मुझे किसी ने अकबर अलीज का गिफ्ट कूपन दे दिया. ठीक है, उसके पहले मुझे जिंदगी में कभी गिफ्ट वाउचर नहीं मिला था किसी से. सो शायद कभी दिवाली पे किसी प्रिंटर वगैरह ने एक एनवलप दिया. नॉर्मली हम लेते नहीं है, बट वो रख के चला गया. मैंने अंदर देखा अकबर अलीज का ₹250 का गिफ्ट कूपन था उसमें. एंड अकबरलीज देयर यूज्ड टू बी द स्टोर इन फोर्ट, एंड देयर वाज वन इन चेंबूर एंड वन इन सेंटा क्रूज. सो 3 स्टोर थे उसके. और मेरे पास वो, मैंने कहा अच्छा ₹250 के लिए यार कौन जाएगा, मेरे पास टाइम ही नहीं होता था, मैं हमेशा काम में बिजी, में कौन जाएगा ₹250 के लिए किसी स्टोर में, ठीक है. और वो रखा रखा एक्सपायर हो गया वो कूपन, उसकी एक डेडलाइन थी 2-4 महीने की, एक्सपायर हो गया. बट दैट ट्रिगर्ड ए थॉट इन माई माइंड. आई सेड कि अगर कोई ये 3 स्टोर के कूपन में वैल्यू देख सकता है एज ए गिफ्टर, कि मैं अपने किसी गिफ्टी को, किसी रेसिपिएंट को दूंगा, तो उसको चॉइस दे रहा हूं मैं. मैंने कहा हमारा तो ये काम ही है यार. व्हाट इफ आई टाई अप विद 5000 आउटलेट्स अक्रॉस इंडिया.
Which you can, because of Sodexo, you already have the reach.
We have people who can tie up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had just a team of 15 people, not more. 15 लोग थे, 15,
Hmm.
who had tied up by now with about 20,000 restaurants. It was only 2 years.
Wow.
So we had opened 8 classic branches, जो 8 के टॉप शहर होते हैं, इंक्लूडिंग पुणे, अहमदाबाद. और वहां के हमने ऐसे कर करके 15-20 हजार रेस्टोरेंट से टाई अप कर लिया था. एंड देन आई सेड टू माय टीम कि भाई ऐसा गिफ्ट वाउचर बनाना है. और इट वाज ऑल पेपर एट दैट टाइम. तो एक अच्छा सा अट्रैक्टिव सा गिफ्ट वाउचर बनाया. एंड हमने कहा यार 5,000 शॉप से टाई अप करो. उस टाइम हमने शॉपर स्टॉप से जैसे टाई अप किया, आज भी शॉपर स्टॉप पार्टनर है सोडेक्सो का. सो और ज्यादा तो चेंज होती नहीं थी, तो एक एक करके टाई अप करना था. बिकॉज दिस आई एम स्टिल स्पीकिंग 99. Modern trade revolution had still not come to India. Shopper Stop was the only mega store.
Yeah.
तो हमने कर लिया, 4-5 हजार शॉप्स के साथ टाई अप कर लिया. एंड हमने अपने क्लाइंट्स को बताना शुरू किया कि भाई ये गिफ्ट वाउचर है, इस बारी दिवाली पे आप यही दीजिएगा. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एवरीथिंग वाज स्टैक्ड अप अगेंस्ट द गिफ्ट वाउचर, बिकॉज फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इन इंडिया ऑलवेज पीपल वांट टू गिफ्ट समथिंग जो देखने में ज्यादा वैल्यू की लगती है और होती कम की है.
Yeah, perceived value. Yeah.
जिसको एमआरपी और एमओपी बोलते हैं, कि हमारा ये ब्लेंडर जी 4,000 रुपए का एक्चुअली 2,500 में मिलता है अमेजन पे, लेकिन क्योंकि आप बल्क में ले रहे हो तो आपको तो 1,700 में मिल जाएगा, राइट. परसीव वैल्यू 4,000. लेकिन अच्छा, अब तो अमेजन से असली दाम भी पता चल जाता है कि 2.5 में बिक रहा है. उस टाइम तो जो छपी है वही है वैल्यू. अरे 4,000 का मेरे को, ठीक है. तो और वाउचर में अगेन वैल्यू छपी है भाई साहब, 150 रुपए छपा है तो 150 रुपए छपा है, ऊपर से कंपनी से 2% हम लेंगे छापने का. ठीक है. तो सबने कहा नहीं चल सकता, नहीं चल सकता. आई सेड यार देखो, एक बेनिफिट है वैल्यू ऑफ चॉइस फॉर द कस्टमर, और दूसरा बेनिफिट है कि दिवाली पे ना कई लोग लेट जागते हैं. एक दिन रह गया, अभी वो डिसाइड ही नहीं हुआ कि सब क्या लेना है, फिर लास्ट में जागते हैं. तो उनके लिए तो हम तो छाप के दे सकते हैं, प्रोडक्ट्स तो एकदम नहीं आ सकते. तो ऐसे कुछ हमने बिलीव कर दिया. ये हो गया सब 3-4 महीना लॉन्च किए हुए, दिवाली से पहले एक भी क्लाइंट नहीं आया. एंड अगेन माय टीम इज लुकिंग एट मी कि सर कुछ भी आपके दिमाग में आता रहता है, बोल देते हो, चलता तो है नहीं कुछ. एंड आई रिमेंबर अगेन ए फोन कॉल केम, दिस टाइम ऑन द मोबाइल, कि सर ये आपका कुछ आया हुआ है पैम्फलेट कि ये गिफ्ट वाउचर. या विच कंपनी? सो एल अल इज द इजरायली एयरलाइन.
Okay.
तो दिल्ली में एल अल का ऑफिस था, और एल अल का ऑफिस में उन्होंने बोला कि 72,000 रुपीज के हमें 72 गिफ्ट वाउचर्स चाहिए, 1,000 रुपए के. एंड आई रिमेंबर हाउ क्रेजीली वी शाउटेड इन द ऑफिस एंड डांस्ड. By the time I left the company in 2006, we were selling about 200 crores of gift voucher every year.
Wow.
मेरा ये बिलीफ था कि कोई भी चीज ईमानदारी से, शिद्दत से करो, कहीं उसमें जिसमें वैल्यू एडेड है तो वो बेची जा सकती है. There's always a hidden need. So this was the second business. उसकी देखा देखी सोडेक्सो बहुत इंस्पायर हुआ कि ये तो वाउचर के और बहुत सारे यूजेस हो सकते हैं. सो आई वाज पुट ऑन द इंटरनेशनल डेवलपमेंट कमिटी कि यार इस आदमी का दिमाग ऐसे चलता है टेढ़ा, देखो कहाँ कहाँ. तो आई वाज लकी एनफ टू बी सेंट टू मोर देन 35-40 countries by Sodexo in Eastern Europe, in Northern Africa, in Latin America, कि आप स्टडी करो वहाँ पे. आई रिमेंबर कोलंबिया में गिफ्ट वाउचर हमने लॉन्च किया था, शेक कैदू बोलते थे उसको फ्रेंच में, और वहाँ स्पेनिश में कुछ ऐसे ही बोलते थे. सो तो इस तरीके के कई सारे हमने स्टडी किए, कई सारे प्रोडक्ट्स लॉन्च किए, कहीं कहीं गैसोलीन वाउचर लॉन्च किया, वहाँ गैस के लिए कुछ सपोर्ट मिलता था, कई चाइल्ड केयर किया, ठीक है. एंड बाकी लोग भी थे फिर इंटरनेशनल डेवलपमेंट में, बट आई गॉट ए गुड एक्सपोजर. फिर उसके बाद बहुत ही जो आपने सवाल पूछा कि इंडिया में तो शायद केटरिंग नहीं करती सोडेक्सो, तो मेरे वाउचर बिजनेस में अभी तक करीब छोटा ही बिजनेस था, मतलब क्योंकि इट्स अ स्टिकी बिजनेस, एक बार ईमेल वाउचर दे दिया तो हर महीने ऑर्डर आना ही है। तो
राइट।
मेरे कभी भी 250-300 से ऊपर लोग नहीं हुए उस बिजनेस में, ठीक है। सो फिर मैंने कंपनी को बोला कि भाई आपका कोर बिजनेस तो केटरिंग है, एंड आई नो कि 15 साल से, मुझे सोडेक्सो में तब तक 5 साल हो चुके थे, 99 की बात है, बट मुझे पता चल गया था कि फॉर लास्ट 15 ईयर्स teams from the catering business have been coming to India, and they have been studying the Indian market. They have been giving fat money to PwC, Deloitte and all that कि आप स्टडी करो, रिपोर्ट दो, हर 2-3 साल में एक्विजिशन टारगेट हमें बताओ, लेकिन कुछ हो नहीं रहा था। ये ज़माना वो था जहाँ 10-15 रुपए में पूरा खाना दिया जाता था विद फुल चॉइस। ब्लू
हम्म।
कॉलर्ड वर्कर्स के फैक्ट्री में होती थी केटरिंग।
हम्म।
सो आई सेड कि ये नहीं हो पाएगा आपसे, ठीक है। वहां से ऐसे और कोई एक्विजिशन अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी नहीं है, बिकॉज ज्यादातर ग्रे मार्केट टाइप है,
या
लोग कैश में,
अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड। हम्म।
किसको आप एक्वायर करोगे, स्टिकी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स है नहीं, प्रॉपर एग्रीमेंट्स नहीं है।
हम्म।
सो आई सेड लेट मी स्टार्ट। तो एक साल का भी रेजिस्टेंस आया कि नहीं 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 नहीं। फॉर्चुनेटली आई गॉट ए बॉस, ग्लोबल चेंज हुआ कुछ, एंड आई गॉट ए बॉस हु हैड अर्लियर वर्कड इन केटरिंग बिजनेस इन रशिया, इवान सेमेनॉफ। ही वाज अ फ्रैंको रशियन। रशियन रिवॉल्यूशन के बाद सारे जो रोमनॉफ एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली थी वो लोग भाग के फ्रांस चले गए थे ज्यादातर, बिकॉज द रूलर्स यूज्ड टू बी फ्रेंकोफोन्स, दे यूज्ड टू बी फ्रेंच स्पीकिंग। क्योंकि जैसे
ओके।
फारसी राजाओं की लैंग्वेज
हम्म।
होती थी, ऐसे पूरे यूरोप में इंक्लूडिंग रशिया फ्रेंच वाज ऑलवेज ए स्नूटी लैंग्वेज एंड ए डिटेल्ड लैंग्वेज। तो लीगल लैंग्वेज, राजाओं की लैंग्वेज वो होती थी।
हम्म।
तो ही वाज वन ऑफ द सेमेनॉफ था उसका नाम। ही वाज नॉट डायरेक्टली डिसेंडेंट ऑफ रोमनॉफ्स बट एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली बाय मैरिज। सो उनकी अपनी सील वगैरह होती है जैसे यहाँ हमारे राजाओं की होती है।
Oh,
तो वो था, एंड ही हैड बिल्ट द केटरिंग बिजनेस इन रशिया। उसको मैंने कन्विंस किया कि यार तू मुझे करने दे केटरिंग बिजनेस। बोलता है यार तुम इंजीनियर हो, तुम क्या केटरिंग करोगे। मैंने कहा मुझे थोड़ी खाना बनाना है, बट आई एम ए मैनेजर, आई विल हायर गुड शेफ्स एंड आई विल डू इट। बट उसने ये बोला कि रवि चैलेंजेस क्या हैं, अभी तक हमारी टीम क्यों नहीं कर पाई। सो आई सेड दिस लो वैल्यू दिस दैट, बट आई सेड इवन आई हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड वन थिंग, in India people do not care about the kind of food their employees are eating, and I've heard people say अरे नीचे ठेला लगा ना है, वहां पे सैंडविच खा लेंगे 10 रुपए का, ठीक है। बट when it comes to their furniture and facilities, वहां पे अपना पैसा लगा है, they're very careful about that, okay? So बोलते रहे interesting observation, in Russia I had built a business called facilities management, and it's the first time ever I heard of that name, integrated facilities management. I said अच्छा ये बताओ कैसे होता है। बोलता I'll send you a consultant, a Swiss guy called Stefan Konth. I will send you Stefan, and you. So that Stefan opened my eyes to the facilities management business. He basically you outsource everything to Sodexo,
हम्म।
including food, housekeeping, maintenance, landscaping, security, taking care of your lockers, pantry services, everything. I
Yeah.
said, wow, this is good. This is good. You know. So I started these two businesses. Of course, I hired experts of facilities management from couple of large companies which used to do this business like Jones Lang LaSalle, JLL, or
हम्म।
CB Ellis. And I started the catering business, taking chefs from 5 stars. Because very simple calculation told me that the variable expense in a catering business is almost 60% every day. So let me explain what that means. जब हम रेस्टोरेंट में जाके खाना खाते हैं, वी आर पेइंग फॉर द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, फॉर द रेंटल एंड फॉर द फूड एंड पीपल। जब केटरिंग होता है तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फ्री होता है क्योंकि वो क्लाइंट लगाता है,
राइट।
रेंटल नहीं होता, सिर्फ लेबर होता है और फूड होता है। तो फूड कॉस्ट जो होती है वो 60% होती है। एंड आई रियलाइज दिस इज वाई इट्स अ ट्रिकी बिजनेस, क्योंकि हर रोज हर साइट प्रॉफिटेबल होनी चाहिए। अगर वो अनप्रॉफिटेबल है दैट मीन्स फूड चोरी हो रहा है वहां पे, या मिस यूज हो रहा है, या पेरिशेबल वे में जा रहा है। सो ऐसे मुझे ऐसे लोग चाहिए जो ये बुद्धि रखते हों ये समझने की। सो वाइल केटरिंग यूज टू बी फुल ऑफ पीपल फ्रॉम अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर, जैसे लेबरर्स नहीं होते चौक पे खड़े होते हैं और जाके कॉन्ट्रैक्टर उनको चौक से उठा लेता है, आ जाओ भाई 10
हम्म।
लेबरर आ जाओ दिन की दिहाड़ी पे, ऐसे केटरिंग बिजनेस होता था।
हम्म।
ऐसे नहीं, आई विल टेक शेफ्स फ्रॉम 5 स्टार होटल्स, and I'll take permanent employees and we will do that business. तो मैंने फूड सर्विसेज या केटरिंग कह लो और फैसिलिटीज मैनेजमेंट साथ में शुरू किया. फैसिलिटीज मैनेजमेंट में हमें सक्सेस मिलने लगी, अच्छी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी थी. केटरिंग में बिल्कुल सक्सेस नहीं मिल रही थी. क्यों? क्योंकि केटरिंग में इशू क्या है कि फैक्ट्री केटरिंग वाज वेरी चीप एंड वेरी डर्टी. किकबैक्स, दिस दैट. मैंने कहा नहीं, हमें नहीं करनी. वो ब्लू कॉलर केटरिंग से हमें शुरू नहीं होना, अदरवाइज विल बिकम जस्ट लाइक दैट. This was the time when IT and BPO sector in India was growing. I said, let's target these companies. Now, you see, I'm just focusing on the tricky part of every business, and you are forcing me. So, इससे पहले आप पूछे, मैं बता देता हूँ कि क्यों क्यों पंगा था. तो कोई भी IT और BPO कंपनी हमेशा बोलेंगे, अरे नहीं, खाना अच्छा दे दो, खाना अच्छा दे दो. हम बोलेंगे, यार हमें केटरिंग करने दो. नहीं नहीं, किचन नहीं है. किचन क्यों नहीं होती थी?
कंप्लायंसेस बहुत आ जाएंगे फिर.
They were all in rented premises.
ओके.
And they never wanted to, and these were rented for long term leases, 9 years, 18 years, 15 years. But they didn't want to do that hard work कि लैंडलॉर्ड को कन्विंस करें या किचन में इन्वेस्ट करें. और केटर्ड फूड में प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि वो छोटे छोटे केटर बना के ला रहे हैं. कंसिस्टेंसी आएगी ही नहीं आपकी, हाइजीन आएगी ही नहीं आपकी. एंड दे वुड पुश सोडेक्सो कि नहीं नहीं, वी आर योर ग्लोबल क्लाइंट, वी आर ए $10 million अकाउंट इन फ्रांस, वी आर ए $20 million अकाउंट इन US. So you organize catering for us, you set up your own central kitchen. I said no, I will not do that, because I know the day I invest my own money in a central kitchen and I'm delivering food, you will kill me on costs, because you'll make me compete with the guy who is cooking in a garage and bringing food. Okay, so I'll not do that. You give me a kitchen, I will manage. मेरे फैसिलिटीज मैनेजमेंट के 25-30 बढ़िया बड़े बड़े क्लाइंट्स हो गए, केटरिंग का एक भी नहीं आया. सो आई सेड, इसका तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा. सो आई सेंट माई टीम्स टू दीज केटरर्स जो वहां पे खाना देते थे बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज में. वो इमेजेस आज भी मेरे इसी लैपटॉप पे हैं जिससे मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ. एंड इफ यू सी देम यू विल प्यूक, बिकॉज गंदी नाली है, उसमें पालक के पत्ते पड़े हैं, सैलड पड़ा है, वही काट के दे दिया. देयर वर images of people, kneading dough with their feet. And I took all these photographs. And I took appointments using my Sodexo US contacts from large companies like Dell, Microsoft, Oracle, Accenture, Citigroup. And I went from here on a 15-day tour across US, Chicago, Texas, Seattle, New York. I met all of them, their global facilities heads. And I said, do you have a problem that in India you get a bad belly and your employees also get it? He says, yeah, big problem, India, unhygienic. I said, okay, now let me show you why. And I showed them these photographs. They were blown away. They said, but you are supposed to help us. I said, all I need is a kitchen. And that started the revolution of on-site kitchens in Indian corporate sector. Factories always had. Hospitals didn't have. Now imagine हॉस्पिटल सारा हाइजीन, मास्क, ये वो सब लगा के, हैजमेट सूट्स, बट खाना बाहर से बन के आ रहा है, उसमें हाइजीन नहीं है. सो इट इज नॉट मच टॉक्ड अबाउट एंड आई थिंक आई वाज गुड एट ब्रांडिंग. सो जब सोडेक्सो में मैं था तो कंपनी कहीं छोटी थी आज के मुकाबले, 3 या 4 गुना बड़ी है आज कंपनी. नेचुरली इंडिया का ग्रोथ हो गया, मेरे को सोडेक्सो छोड़े 19 साल हो गए. बट वेरी ऑफ्टन पीपल से व्हाट यू सेड टुडे कि यार वो सोडेक्सो बंद हो गई क्या? अरे वो बिजनेस तो कभी देखा ही नहीं. या वो सोडेक्सो कूपन जो चलता था भी बंद हो गया. दैट इज ब्रांडिंग, बिकॉज वी यूज्ड टू कीप above our weight. Because I believe branding is important, and that's how I built Wonderchef. Right. Today, the voucher business is at least 3 times the size of what I left it. In catering business and facilities management, I had totally a team of about 25,000 employees when I left, which is the largest company.
Yes. Yeah.
Today, there are 125,000 employees on its roles in Sodexo in India.
Wow. Hmm.
Every single good company, factory, hospital, school, international school, college, they have Sodexo catering.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ashoka University ले लो आप,
Hmm.
Max Hospitals ले लो, Hinduja Hospital, any good hospital, Fortis, any good chain, any large factory. तो उसके seats वहाँ पे पड़े थे. Me showing the photographs of these local caterers to
Hmm.
American clients.
Hmm.
फिर वहाँ से शुरू हुआ. We built a very fine team of educated chefs rather than contracted workers. Very good financial control, and that became the basis.
Hmm.
And then the last business I started was a smart cards business. Today, the entire Sodexo coupon is on smart cards or apps. So it so happened that I got an offer from Infosys. Offers तो आते ही रहते थे कहीं ना कहीं. And Infosys in those days, I mean, you can imagine early 2000s, उसके शेयर ही लोग खरीद के पागल हो जाते थे. मुझे job offer मिला because Infosys was kind of an IIM Ahmedabad mafia, right from the
Okay.
RMs right up to Basapradhan and Fanish Murthy, who was the global sales and head, sales and marketing head. They were all IMA people. So I got an offer, and I didn't take it up. Then again, they came back to me. So offer was to be in Paris and be the head of Europe. Again, my dream.
Hmm.
I could not pull myself away from Sodexo कि मेरा काम अभी यहाँ खत्म नहीं हुआ है. And they said this guy is crazy. So then next time they offered me head of. Fanish Murthy was leaving. Basa Pradhan became the global head, and he was head of Western Strip of US, which contains both California and Seattle. So the cream. And I was also very excited, but again I rejected because I was working on some very large programs with smart cards in India. Basically, TDPS, targeted PDS, public distribution system based on smart cards. जब जनधन अकाउंट्स तो होते नहीं थे, लोगों के पास
Hmm.
अकाउंट्स नहीं थे. So I was working on that project with the central government, and तो मैंने कहा नहीं नहीं नहीं. So I got a call from Narayan Murthy ji's office कि ये कौन पागल आदमी है जो इन्फोसिस को मना कर रहा है. He said they
Hmm.
want to meet you. So I went to meet him, and he called Mohandas Pai ji, who was his famous CFO. And they were meeting me, asking, and very interested कि अरे कैसा ये बिजनेस बनाया, समझ नहीं आता है, कूपन्स का बिजनेस इतना बड़ा कर दिया, केटरिंग इतना बड़ा कर दिया. तो मेरे से पूछते, इज दैट अ बिजनेस? आई सेड yeah, it's a business, but not too many companies. It's a very unique business.
Hmm.
So Narayan Murthy ji asked Mohandas Pai, do we use these coupons? He said, no, we don't like coupons. But Ravi, if you can do cards, smart card, what is a smart card? I said, I know.
Hmm.
Then we will take it. So I
Okay.
developed smart card based solutions.
Hmm.
Very interesting, because I said, look, it's perfect for you, because for the BPOs, now imagine in a BPO, in an IT company, you can take a longish break, right? Because you are at your own clock. But in a BPO, everybody has to eat in half an hour and go back because calls are coming, right?
Yeah.
So it's very time sensitive. But when you come, you are choosing different things from the buffet, and you have to pay. In those days, 30-35 rupees. You can't pay through the credit card because there is fixed cost. If you pay through coupons or cash, then transaction takes time. So I developed a smart card based solution for these fast payments. And it became a huge hit. Almost every large campus in India started using Sodexo smart card. One, you can load your coupon on that, so it becomes tax free. So
Hmm.
in effect, you are eating food worth 1500 against 1000.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Big hit, right? And secondly, it's fast transaction offline. So it became a hit. And so these were the five businesses: meal voucher, gift voucher, facilities management, food service, and smart cards.
Hmm. Okay.
कर लिया. Then I thought कि अभी चलो काफी हो गया, अब कुछ और करना चाहिए. I should come. This was all B2B business, right? So I said I want to experience the B2C side of the business. And one of the offers that had been exciting me was through Mickey Jagtiani, who was the iconic founder of Landmark Group. Lifestyle stores, Shoe Mart, Splash, Baby Shop. And it was a $2 billion group out of Dubai. Lifestyle was already very well known in India. And Mickey had contacted me and met me 3 or 4 times in India and in Dubai. And his dream was that Landmark Group should become a large hospitality group, just like it is a large retail group, because hospitality is also related to spaces, properties, right?
Hmm.
And his dream was, he used to share with me that, look, I want to do 100 hotels, budget hotels, 4 stars, 100 coffee shops, 100 restaurants, 100 food courts, and 100 fun zones, fun city.
Hmm.
I was excited, and I asked him, "Do we have the funds? It was quite a lot of money." He says, "Yeah, this is my balance sheet, and this is the cash I throw up." So I was excited, and finally I said, "Okay, this is something nice," and I joined Landmark Group, and it was a fabulous 3 years there. I started Fun City in India. These fun zones and malls, still growing and very profitable. I started Gloria Jeans Coffees. I brought it from Australia and I started that franchise. We opened about 60 outlets. I started City Max Hotels, which you see in Dubai and Sharjah. But unfortunately, in India, they decided not to pursue them because the global financial crisis hit in 2008-9 and they
Okay.
withdrew.
Hmm.
We started Polynesian food courts, and that is the time uh, I was wondering that what restaurants to do, because in 2006-7 India still only had two kinds of foods when we went outside for food. One was Indian and one was Indian Chinese. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Hmm.
people had tried out French and Spanish and Mexican and Italian, and they had failed.
Hmm.
Vegetarian Italian, Little Italy used to do, but that
Yeah.
is not true Italian.
Hmm.
So I said, look, there is this famous chef called Sanjeev Kapoor, whom I have seen on television, and he doesn't seem to have restaurants. So why don't I contact him and let's build a chain of Indian restaurants? This was also the time when there was only one chain in India with three restaurants, and it was already a chain, Copper Chimney.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I said, we have the muscle, and I'll build the talent to build a chain. So we partnered together and we created the Yellow Chili chain of restaurants. There are about 55 restaurants around the world now in that chain. It's very much active. So fantastic time gave me a flavor of the consumer side of the market, designs, interior design, architecture, life changing again for me. In 2009, the group decided to step back from hospitality because naturally the global financial crisis hit very hard and they were locked in so many properties. Nobody knew what will happen. But they kept running the coffee business and the restaurant and the fun city business. So that time I sat back and I thought it over, and I was turning 40. So I thought it's now or never. I had started 10 businesses by now, five for Sodexo, five for Landmark Group, and all of them were working and all of them were, progressing profitably. So I thought one thing I've learned is how to start a business and take it to scale profitably and step by step, not just burning cash. So I thought, what is my strength? On one side, I'm an engineer, I understand engineering, how things work, how to design things. Also in Sodexo, we created a lot of solutions for large scale catering, right? Equipment for making rotis or dosas, large scale. So I understood the equipment side of it also. Then I understood food. And that was back then a rare combination. Today, there are a lot of funded companies, so top engineer MBAs are going for food. But at that time, a combination of engineering, talent, and food was rare.
Hmm.
So I said, I don't want to compete. I do not want to compete with Sodexo in catering. I don't want to compete in restaurants because they are my alma maters. So what can I do? So that leaves the domestic market. And again, as I said, I believe the consumer. So I went out and spoke to the customers that what is the pain point in the kitchen. Two things stood out. One was that, we need to use a lot of oil in Indian cooking, but that is unhealthy. That consciousness had started coming 15 years ago.
Hmm.
But chipak jata hai. It sticks in the pan, so we need to use non-stick pan. But the problem with non-stick pans is within 3 to 6 months, the coating comes off. And ultimately, it's chemical. If it's coming off, it's somewhere getting mixed in the food and going inside us.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, this is a major pain point. And second was that our mixers, Mixie was the highest penetrated appliance in India and homes. 40% of Indian homes had a Mixie by then. And the problem with mixie was nobody could see inside because we had this classic steel jar mixie. We have to put our hand on the lid, otherwise it will fly off. And
Yeah.
we need something more compact.
Hmm.
इतनी सारी इतनी बड़ी मिक्सी क्या करनी? So I said, let me attack these two problems. I went to Chef Sanjeev Kapoor, and by this time we had worked together for 3 years, and we had a great deal of mutual respect. I said, sir, this is my idea. He said, Ravi, I have tears in my eyes because when I write recipes, and I personally use the best equipment, and I know that for a lot of these recipes, good equipment will be needed. So yes, I am in. So we became co-founders of Wonderchef. We became partners.
Hmm.
I went back to Italy and I said, let me see how they build their non-stick pans. I went to 5 or 6 factories, tied up with one factory to build our pans. And I said, okay, in a market where people give only 6 months warranty, we will give 2 years warranty. If the coating comes off, it becomes shriveled, wrinkled, free replacement. And in no year since then, we had to give even more than 0.5% replacement. वो भी इसलिए कि लोग स्क्रैच कर देते हैं फोर्क से या
Hmm.
नाइफ से, फिर भी हम चलो कभी कभार दे देते हैं कि चलो ठीक है. Why? Because it's basic science. First, you have to use a good metal. Secondly, you have to clean the metal well. When we paint a wall, everyone knows we do
Yeah.
sandpapering,
Yeah.
right? So that the surface is clean, it's a bit rough so that the paint sticks. But pans बनाते time India में कोई करता ही नहीं था. But this was the international way. Then you have to use the right coating quality and you have to bake it well at 425 degrees for 45 minutes continuously. इंडिया में पिज्जा ओवन में लोग बना रहे होते थे 7 फुट के और हाथ लगा लगा के देख रहे हैं कि पेंट उतर तो नहीं रहा.
Okay.
So we started making pans with the right process earlier in Italy. Now we do everything in India. And we began to be known for our good quality non-stick pans. Almost every day somebody comes up to me and says, "Sir, आपने हमारी life बदल दी." ठीक है? क्योंकि 2 बूंद तेल में हम खाना बना लेते हैं अब.
Hmm. Hmm.
The food release properties were great. Then one day I was sitting, actually it was the
What did
opening
you
of the.
launch? What was the launch price? Because I mean, if you're importing from Italy, it must have been a
You are
premium,
absolutely right. Absolutely right. So it was 3 times the cost, 3 times the price of any Indian pan.
and still it's wow.
But of course, not in very large numbers.
Hmm.
But I'll come to that. Very good point. And how did we sell? Also, I'll come because that is a part of Wonderchef's story. There was this opening of the Hermes, the ties, Hermes ties,
And
Hermes
handbags and all. Yeah.
bags and all, Birkin bag. So there was the first showroom they were opening in Ballard Pier in Bombay. And their global head had come, and I was invited to that function. And he said, India is a land of colors. So instead of our typical grays and greens, we are doing colored bags and colored scarves for India. And I said, my God, I have never realized that. Okay. I mean, we know India is a land of colors, but yeah, why not design a product around that? So I worked with the factory to develop colored coating to stabilize it. And we began to be known for our colored pans. I mean, if you ask anybody, Wonderchef is known for its colors and vibrancy. And
Yeah.
there were times people used to bring their laminates, kitchen laminates, to our shops, saying इससे मैच करता हुआ हमें cookware चाहिए.
Yeah. Okay.
So this was the cookware story. And for the blender, for the mixer, I innovated a product called the NutriBlend, which was a see-through. You mentioned polycarbonate in context of bags. I applied that knowledge to jars. कि हमें स्टील जैसी स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए. Even if you stand on that jar, it will not break. It will deform, but it will come back to the shape if you step off, and
Mm.
it will screw back again. That is the property of polycarbonate, what people show in Samsonite suitcases, right? So I utilized the same knowledge, polycarbonate jars, created a 500-watt powerful motor, which fits inside a smaller blender. So, and it's screw kind, so it never comes off. The lid doesn't fly off. Okay.
Mm.
and I launched this. And my team, as
And
always,
this is the bullet. I think it's branded as bullet or Nutri Bullet or
NutriBlend,
sorry,
NutriBlend,
NutriBlend. Okay.
NutriBlend.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So it's the single largest selling SKU in India for any
Wow.
mixie. As a
Wow.
single SKU, the single largest.
Hmm.
It accounts for almost 25% of our sales.
One SKU. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it has become an industry. It's become a category now.
Hmm.
Every single brand is launching their version of NutriBlend. Some may call it Health Blender, some call it the Nutri Blender instead of NutriBlend. First, we opposed also because it's a registered name, but kitno se ladoge? But we still remain
Right.
far ahead.
Hmm, hmm,
So basically, two simple consumer insights led to the formation of Wonderchef. But you're right. How do you sell something which is so differentiated? Now, typically in India, people go to general trade, right? What is called GT. And because in India, everyone knows GT is the king when it comes to retailing. If you want to be a brand, you have to go there. But I always had practical ideas towards business. ऐसा नहीं है कि जो सब कर रहे हैं मुझे भी करना है. So अलग क्या कर सकते हैं? Not for the heck of doing it differently, but for making it successful, making it practical. So I said, okay, I will not go to GT because in GT, first of all, nobody wants to keep an expensive thing. They don't want to carry that inventory. First thing they ask is, sir, 100 crore का advertising कर रहे हो आप? तो हम रखेंगे.
hmm.
I started the business with 1 crore. I didn't have 100 crores. Okay. So I said, okay, we will not go there. But I have Chef Sanjeev Kapoor with me. Every Indian woman looks up to him with trust and credibility. So first, let's create a women entrepreneur network. जो ये बेचेगा हमारी चीजें उनको हम ट्रेन करेंगे और हमारी चीजें अच्छी होंगी. वी वांट गुड पीपल टू सेल गुड प्रोडक्ट्स टू गुड होम्स. दैट वाज माय मोटो. And we kept a tenet which we still respect in every single product, that is our touchstone, HTC, health, taste, convenience. Every product that we launch has to have the story of health. People ask for deep fat fryer, but it is essentially unhealthy. So we have never launched deep fat fryer. Let others take the market share. Tasty is important because healthy alone will not become successful. Plus, as life is changing, people want more and more convenience. They're busy with WhatsApp, Facebook, OTT. They want more and more convenience. So right from the beginning, HTC, that's our touchstone. That has served us well. So we launched with this Women Entrepreneur Network. Today we have about 85,000 women who have signed up with us in this network, covering about 1,000 towns across India. People often ask me, where did you get this network? How did you build this network? Simple answer, one by one. No easy way. Just like we tied up with the restaurants one by one, there were no chains. Similarly, one by one network. And my team size has never exceeded 12 people for this business.
Wow. Okay. For this distribution channel. So this is one of your distribution channels, the woman entrepreneur. This would be like how Tupperware is sold.
That's right.
Okay.
But it's a great channel because people are invited to evenings, a Wonder Chef evening, where people cook, they make tea together, they have fun together. And once they see a demo, they never forget the brand. And I
Hmm.
think more than anything else, this has built the brand of Wonder Chef. Today, this channel accounts for only 5% of our sales, but still the closest one to our hearts. Then we went to modern trade.
One question here on the women entrepreneurs. How do you align incentives? Do they get some fixed pay also, or is it just purely commission on sales? Like,
No, there is no fixed pay. You can't afford
hmm,
because so there is a commission on sales. Okay, they buy from local distributors, and so because you need distributors so that the stock is available everywhere.
hmm,
But these are different distributors. These are not general trade distributors.
hmm.
These distributors are also amongst these women only.
Okay.
They're distributors, and they recruit the network under them. It's
Hmm.
just the support of my team, but it's not just 12 people who were able to achieve this. It's my very iconic 250 distributors who were able to do this also along with us. And they've stayed with us right from the beginning.
And so this sounds like quite an efficient channel because there is no working capital requirement here. The women are paying upfront.
We collect the payment upfront in this.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
but
normally every other channel you get paid after a delay, right?
that's right. So you guessed it right.
Mm.
They pay in advance because we don't want to run after thousands of people to get our
Sure.
payment.
Yeah.
Having said that, I wouldn't say it's zero working capital because we nevertheless need to keep the inventory.
Right. Okay.
There is no debtors in this channel
Hmm.
though.
Hmm. And probably
So
you give them a better pricing because they're paying upfront, so the margin
uh,
might be
we
better
give them
for
the
them.
margin, but the pricing for the customer, the
Hmm.
attempt is to keep it same, whether it's on Amazon or Blinkit or General Trade or Modern Trade or
Hmm.
this. The only place where our products are cheaper
Hmm.
are the army and police canteens because that is the nature of the shops.
Right. Hmm.
Then you need to be a member of that network.
Hmm.
So that's how we started, and then I went to Shopper Stop, and I'm forever grateful to them because Shopper Stop has been the first chain of India, and they have promoted a lot of local brands and entrepreneurs. Just like Wonderchef, in every category, whether it was garments, it was fabrics, it was homeware. Shopper Stop was the one who would give opportunity, and they were never so obsessed with the private label. They always wanted to give opportunities to brands. So we went to Shopper Stop, and they said, "Okay, you have fantastic products." And remember, this was still 3x of the normal price, and it was only cookware and one blender. That's it. We'll give you space in this. There are very famous Malad in orbit store,
Hmm.
okay, in home stop, but it will be a minimum guarantee of 80,000 rupees. Now, to give you a perspective, at this time, my office was in a garage for which I was paying 20,000 rupees per month. Okay.
Hmm.
And there were like 10 of us cramming up together there.
And you didn't raise any funding उस टाइम पे तो होती भी नहीं होगी वीसी फंडिंग.
2010 में,
हाँ.
मतलब उसके पहले एक नशा आया था लोगों को डॉट कॉम वगैरह का जो बस्ट हो चुका था बबल. एंड द ओनली पीपल हु वर गेटिंग फंडिंग वर स्टिल दोज हु वर प्रॉमिसिंग द मून कि हम अगला फेसबुक बनाने वाले हैं.
Hmm.
ऐप्स नहीं आए थे तब तक,
Hmm.
लेकिन फिर भी टेक कंपनीज. ओके.
Maybe Flipkart also was 2009-10 there.
फ्लिपकार्ट अभी आया नहीं था.
Okay.
मतलब फ्लिपकार्ट एंट्री कर रहा था विद बुक्स,
Right. Hmm.
राइट, बिकॉज अमेजन ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड विद बुक्स एंड
Hmm.
इवन इन इंडिया अमेजन स्टार्टेड विद बुक्स.
Hmm.
सो देयर वाज लिटरली नो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल. मॉडर्न ट्रेड में शॉपर स्टॉप ने 80,000 रुपये मांगा. हमने कहा भैया अब यहाँ तो पैसा बस मेल्ट होना शुरू हो जाएगा. बट वी नेवर हैड टू पे द मिनिमम गारंटी बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज सोल्ड मोर देन what we had targeted. And that was amazing. So that gave me a lot of confidence that good quality will find its way, but naturally the bubble is very thin at the top, right? Indian market is like a bell curve. Oh, it's not a pyramid, it just falls off the edge immediately. So 3-4 साल हमने ये किया. इटली मेड प्रोडक्ट्स करी, फिर थोड़ी नॉर्थ साउथ कोरिया से बनवाई बिकॉज कोरिया इज द इटली ऑफ एशिया, राइट? दे आल्सो मेक वेरी फैंटास्टिक प्रोडक्ट्स. फिर वो किया. And then in 2015, we got our first funding from Capvent. It was a Swiss fund which had an office in India. And we got $5 million from Capvent. By this time, I had a turnover of 50 crores in Wonderchef. पहले 3-4 साल में 50 crore हो गया था. And but again, as I said, we started with a capital of 1 CR, and then we had a mentor, a Spanish family. Uh, Again, eternally grateful to them, Mr. Jose Busquets, who had supported us, and he gave me $1 million to begin with, and this was in the third year of our existence.
Hmm.
And we could scale up the business to about 50 CR, which is when the first PE fund came in. And then, of course, we professionalized the team. We hired a first marketing head. Till that time, I was marketing, sales, every head, and I had teams to work with. We hired our first CFO, and so on and so forth. And the journey has been interesting. I mean, Wonderchef, to cut to the chase and give you a sense of the figures, this year we'll be doing 500 crores in net sales. And we are the fastest brand to go from 0 to 500 crore in our industry. Okay. And other brands have taken 30, 40, 70 years to reach this stage, those who have cracked 500 crore margin. We within 12 years we reached this stage. And as you said, household name. So I think the brand is bigger than the business we do, which is a good problem to have. And I think we
Yeah.
need to be
Hmm.
more efficient in our probably sales processes and reach outs and so on, probably the product mix. But it's good to have the brand, and rather than having a 500 crore business and no brand. So we're working on that. So the story of our success, hence, is first of all our omni-channel distribution strategy. When TV shopping came in, Home Shop 18 and Shop, Start Star Shopping or Shop CJ as they used to call them, we wrote that, and that helped a great deal in brand building. It also got in sales, and it was profitable for us. We were the first brand in our industry to have a website of our own, and much before COD was popular on Amazon, we started COD in partnership with a courier company, DTDC. So much so that when Amazon wanted to start this category, they started with books, they went to electronics and mobiles, and then they wanted to start this category. I remember the ex-marketing head of Chroma, which was one of the partners of Modern Trade we had. He had become the head of Amazon. And he came to my office saying, Ravi, how do you deal with this business? How do you, ship pots and pans and blenders and so on? And we became partners of Amazon. So today we have a very healthy mix of distribution channels. I would say we have four equally strong pillars: modern trade, general trade, which is the small mom and pop multi-brand outlets, e-commerce, and alternate channels like army canteens, police canteens, our own exclusive outlets, and exports, corporate gifting, and direct sales with women entrepreneurs. So each of these channels gives us 25%. And I would say that is really our uniqueness, that we are standing very stable on four channels of distribution, and we can push the buttons for growth in every channel. And there are times when some channel suffers, like in the times of the pandemic. So we were able to support through women entrepreneurs and e-commerce. And even during pandemic, when everything was closed, we actually increased our sales in that year.
Hmm.
And the second thing which has worked for us is innovation, always listening to the customers. I think we have the widest spread amongst any brand in our industry. We are not the biggest, but the spread of choices, the solutions, is the widest. We have many industry firsts to our credit, like the first proper non-stick pans, the first blender, NutriBlender, the first cold press juicer of India, the first soup maker in India, the first uh, automatic pressure cooker of India, the first automatic robotic cooker of India. As we speak, yesterday we have launched the first automatic chai maker anywhere in the world. So we keep innovating. Our innovation engine, the innovation pipeline is strong. And it's not just about the innovative product. What I always say is that people overrate the innovation in product unless you have the ability to market that innovation, which requires two things: branding and distribution. Unless you have the ability to market this, it won't work. So a lot of innovators come to me and I say, fine, you innovate, I'll give you the muscle of marketing and distribution. And they say, nahi, 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 hame apna karna hai. Unfortunately, I have not seen one person succeed except Attenborough. So Attenborough also, the young founders, they came to me. My office used to be just in front of IIT Powai where they were studying, and we worked together and gave them some guidance, and probably 0.5% of the credit of their success goes to me. I suggested them that they first of all they make their own fans, because
Hmm.
they were trying to sell to Orient and Usha their BLDC motor. I said, forget about them. They're legacy companies. Put wings on the fans, sell your own fan. How to distribute? I said, Amazon has just started our business. Go to Amazon. That will give you the distribution network. But add a remote,
Hmm.
because this is the last appliance which does not have a remote
Yeah.
in the.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but normally people come with a lot of innovation. And I always say, please focus on your strength, because not everyone can become a Wonder Chef or a Attenborough. Okay. Today there is a lot of funding available, but at the same time there's a lot of burn also, because there are as many people willing to jump after an idea. If your strength is innovation, partner with food distributors and go for it. That's the motto.
Hmm. How much total funds have you raised? So you said a 5 million round in 2015. After that, also have you raised?
Uh, Totally, we have raised within the company about 20 million.
Which is extremely efficient for a 500 crore top line. Just 20 million is like very capital efficient.
The good part, Akshay, is that out of that 20 million, 15 million is safe and sound in my working capital, in
Okay.
my debtors
Hmm.
and inventory.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
actually, in our lifetime journey, we have burnt less than $6 million.
Hmm.
Now that is impressive,
Hmm.
because today I see brands burning 6 million not only in 1 year but in 1 quarter to try to.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
see companies which have become 500,000 crores in consumer brand and still losing 100 crores, 200 crores every year.
Hmm.
You know, so as you mentioned that we didn't get funded in the beginning, it was a tough time. I had been a CEO from a young age, from the age of 25 when I joined Sodexo. Started business at 40. So 15 years of earning as a CEO, of course, slightly better than a normal person. And there was a time building Wonderchef that my personal wealth had come down to 2 lakhs. Apart
Wow.
from the home that I own. And my wife had said that, okay, do your business, you have it in you, but just don't mortgage the home.
Hmm.
Okay. But there was a personal guarantee I had to give to the banker. So in effect, my home was also, and I'm shivering while even saying this. And thankfully, the personal guarantee no more exists. But in a way, my home was also mortgaged, which I never told my wife, and I hope she never watches your interview. But, but the thing is that entrepreneurship is a lonely and a tough journey,
Hmm.
and everyone has to go through highs and lows. The universe tests you, but I have seen that if you are fighting every single day, I think, and you need, of course, basic intelligence and a good heart. Teams stay with you, and you can make it. But yeah, I had come down to 2 lakhs, and I was wondering that day that what is the choice I've made in my life. Um, but yeah,
In this business, you need largely funds for working capital because there's like a 3 month payment cycle, at least, at the very least, I guess.
yeah, you need to keep a lot of inventory. If I have 500 SKUs,
Hmm.
so I have 3 months of inventory. The debtor cycle is also 2 months, and I would say about 1.5 months of payables. So the working capital, the net working capital, is about 3 to 4 months today. I
Hmm.
think with more efficiency, everything, it can go as you scale, your leverage becomes bigger. You can go down to about 3 months, but उससे कम मुश्किल होता है. So yeah, at this stage we are profitable, cash positive. So we need funds for working capital, which we are generating
Hmm.
and through our own EBITDA, our own cash flow. But I won't say that you only require for working capital, because even in order to build the company, there is a time when you don't have enough, you're not generating enough cash to pay for the salaries or your expenses. So yeah, there are losses to begin with in any consumer brand.
Hmm.
In the beginning, there would be some losses. Of course, one in 100 or 1,000 brands also get built on their own. It's a really amazing right place, right time kind of stories.
Hmm.
But today times are different. You're getting funding, so invest in teams more than anything else. Invest in teams. And I say this to our suppliers, our contract manufacturers, because we have a few factories which are like our own. They only manufacture for us, they're contracted out. But we also buy from a lot of other factories. And what I see is that there is the Malik who may be shaving off 1 2 crores every year. That's why he's in business on a turnover of 15 20 crores. But number two is a foreman. His definition is a good solid built guy who can kick the backside of workers.
Hmm.
And he may be getting paid 30 40,000, maybe a technical head who may be getting paid another 30 40,000.
Hmm.
And then you have workers to whom you don't even give proper shoes or a uniform, and you are who are not even getting paid minimum wages because you are protected in MSME kind of an environment, so you're not troubled. And the point is that for generations, not decades or years, for generations they've been running the factory like that. So of course they have some native knowledge of the subject, right? Some grandfather was a good engineer, or you have your connects with the right suppliers of raw material and so on, the right distribution in the clients. But the point is, unless you invest in management, you cannot build a brand, and you cannot even build a world class factory. Okay, because workers, if you, especially if you hire those kind and treat them like that, they will never upskill. And it's no surprise that we are not a patch on the quality and efficiency that China has, because due to whatever kind of socialism that is there, capitalistic socialism there, at least the workers were taken care of in their basic needs in even a half organized factory. And there may be sweatshops and all that, but whatever factories I have gone to, and I've been to more than 100 factories, they're organized, workers are respected, timings are respected, they have decent facilities. You don't see a foreman. And often in the beginning, I used to ask, where is the foreman? Like I was shouting at everybody. They said, what is that? I said, some guy who's making sure that the people are working. I said, but they are sitting there working.
Hmm.
I said, yeah. I said, if somebody is making a mistake or not working fast enough, no, no, in that corner, you see that computer room. So we get to know that where is the line lacking. And for sure, the guy sitting there will go quietly, murmur, oh, this problem, okay, you solve this. So that is the foremanship of China.
Hmm.
Many nuances people don't realize.
Hmm.
It's a lot of respect. It's education, basic literacy. And thanks to that, when the progress came, the Chinese were ready to take it. And of course, it was about discipline and forced discipline and a whole lot of other things.
Hmm. Yeah. Do Indian manufacturers have the ability to compete with Chinese? Like, what percentage of your product comes from China? What percentage comes from India? And is Indian manufacturing competitive with what you source from China in terms of pricing,
I think
quality?
I'm giving the biggest insight that, look, ultimately is the worker. Aluminium and steel and wiring will behave the same way as it behaves in China.
Hmm.
Okay? उसकी quality तो same हो सकती है.
Hmm.
The worker quality is the management quality which makes the difference.
Yeah.
So until the time we are like this in our MSME sector, we cannot compete.
Hmm.
Of course, a BMW made in India is the same as BMW made in Germany, because those kind of brands have the ability to invest. But not every product, not every brand has the ability to. A Dixon has the ability to invest, so it is making world class ACs, probably a shade lower than Galans or Midea. Okay, but at least it's manufacturing world class quality. But how many Dixons do we have in India? Not
Hmm.
even five,
Hmm.
right? But there are lakhs of MSMEs, and we cannot wish them away. They have to be there, because not everybody can be employed by a large company. Similarly, China also has MSMEs only. There are few very large firms which I named,
Hmm.
but by and large, the small companies. But quality, service, trust, truthfulness is in their DNA.
Hmm.
And people may be surprised when I say this, because normally we say, अरे वो तो Chinese quality है, वो China made है, बत्तियां खराब हो गई,
Yeah.
दिवाली में एलईडी बल्ब लगाया, अरे भाई वो Chinese quality नहीं है. It is our traders who are going there and saying, cheapest, give me cheapest, give me cheapest.
Yeah.
Now, if you
Right.
go
Yeah.
and say that in Germany, they will throw you out, say, we don't make cheapest. You
Hmm.
go there in China, okay, sir, how much do you want? I want 10 cents. They will give you 10 cents.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's not a problem with Chinese quality. It's basically what we buy,
Yeah. Yeah. True. 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 Absolutely.
right?
Hmm.
So, and they are the same Chinese who are making even for German brands and
Yeah.
American brands.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
world class.
Yeah.
So whenever I dealt with China, I always check the factory that do they have the certification for FDA, LFGB, and ROHS? Do they Are they supplying to Italy, Germany, France, which are the world's highest standards when it comes to food equipment, higher
Okay.
than US?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But to answer your question, 99% of our products now are made in India. Okay, only one
Why?
or two allowed to be imported from China. Otherwise, it's not allowed. Okay,
Oh, it's not allowed.
it's not allowed. Over the last 5 years,
Okay.
under the Made in India or Make in India initiative,
Hmm.
the government has controlled imports of finished goods from anywhere in the world,
Hmm.
especially China, to the
Okay.
BIS route. You
Okay.
require BIS certification, and it is simply not given to Chinese companies.
Yeah, it's a non-tariff barrier, basically.
It's a non-tariff barrier. But it's a great thing because without such a barrier, nobody would buy from India, right?
Mm.
Nobody would develop. Today, all brands are forced to buy from the same contract manufacturers. So at least things are happening which I never thought 3 or 4 years ago would be possible in India. We didn't
Mm.
even used to make simple screws or wire clips.
Mm. Mm.
So ecosystem is developing fast. Of course, Indian entrepreneurs are smart, but when it comes to ultimate quality, there's a long gap because of management processes, literacy, our own culture.
Mm. Have you considered starting your own factory? Is it worth it?
No, we have, as I said, we have 2 factories. We have 4 factories, which are like our own. I mean, we
Okay.
own complete machinery, tooling. It's just
Mm.
that some entrepreneur runs it because we keep it that way because जो डेली का issues होता है संभालना local.
Mm. It's not worth you spending your bandwidth on that.
Yeah, but they are like our own factories,
Okay.
completely
Mm.
making 100% for us. So our entire cookware, our entire NutriBlend, our entire mixies, and coffee machines, etc., are from exclusive factories.
Mm.
So
Okay.
हमारी है सभी लोग की एक चलाने के लिए instead of a manager,
Mm.
we have an entrepreneur who is on
Mm.
profit share basis.
Mm. Mm.
So 70% of is from there, 30% is from other factories which are contractors.
Mm. Okay. What are some insights you would have got over this decade and a half of running Wonderchef in terms of kya bikta hai? Like Indian consumers, what do Indian consumers pay for? Or like, some insights on buying behavior.
Look, it depends on the category. Okay. तो हमारी कैटेगरी बड़ी हम्बल कैटेगरी है, बड़ी प्रैक्टिकल कैटेगरी है, नीड बेस्ड कैटेगरी है. इस दौरान हमने देखा कि कितनी कॉस्मेटिक ब्रांड्स आई और बड़ी-बड़ी हो गई, आधी गायब हो गई, शायद 99% गायब हो गई. जो बड़ी भी हो गई उसमें से बहुत सी लॉस मेकिंग है आज भी, क्योंकि उनका मॉडल ही उससे बना था, ईज़ी फंडिंग से बना था. बट फिर भी नाम बनाया उन्होंने, बड़ी-बड़ी ब्रांड्स हुई, स्केल अप हुई.
Hmm.
अभी वो कॉस्मेटिक्स में क्यों चला? वो हमारे इंडस्ट्री में नहीं चलता. हाउ मेनी कुकवेयर ब्रांड्स और अप्लायंस ब्रांड्स हैव यू सीन दैट हैव बिकम बिग? उसके 2 बहुत सिंपल आंसर हैं, वो मैं इनसाइट आपको देता हूँ. सो एज़ एन एंटरप्रेन्योर जो भी यहाँ सुन रहा है उसको चॉइस करनी है कि व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बिज़नेस डू यू वांट टू डू? किसी में कोई खराबी नहीं है, दोनों अच्छे हैं. डिपेंड्स कि आपको क्या अपॉर्च्युनिटी मिलती है, क्या आप करना चाहते हैं. सो ब्रॉडली सेइंग इट, वन इज़ इम्पल्स बिज़नेस, वन इज़ नॉन इम्पल्स बिज़नेस. इम्पल्स बिज़नेस वो है, हम आज डब्लू के स्टोर में घुस गए, मेरी वाइफ को 2 सूट पसंद आ गए, ले लिए, ठीक है? अब वो उसके कबर्ड में 50 सूट रखे हैं, लेकिन ये भी फ़ोल्ड होके रख गया. कभी पहना ज़िंदगी में 2-4 साल बाद, शायद 2 बार ही पहना, अरे फिटिंग नहीं सही आ रही, आई हैव लॉस्ट वेट, आई हैव गेन्ड वेट, चलो छोड़ दो, ठीक है? 10-10 हज़ार रुपए का सूट ले लिया, कोई उस पे आँसू नहीं बहाएगा. शूज़ ले लिए, आजकल एक आम अपर मिडल क्लास आदमी के पास करीब 10-12 पेयर्स होते हैं. स्नीकर्स अलग, वॉकिंग अलग, जॉगिंग अलग, रनिंग अलग, सो ऑन, टेनिस अलग, फॉर्मल अलग, पार्टी अलग. और एक आम अपर मिडल क्लास लेडी के पास 25 से 40 पेयर्स होते हैं, ठीक है? वी हैव investing companies in shoes business also, so we know the data points. तो ये होती है इम्पल्स परचेजेस, पसंद आया ले लिया. आज तक हमने किसी को नहीं देखा, अरे यार कुर्ता पसंद आ गया, चलो दूसरा रख लेती हूँ किचन में.
Right.
ये मिक्सी पसंद आ गई, चलो एक रख लेती हूँ.
Hmm.
ठीक. इम्पल्स है ही नहीं, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, हमारी एक अनोखी कैटेगरी है जिसमें जो बायर है दे आर नॉट द यूजर. क्योंकि इंडिया में जो भी ब्रांडेड अप्लायंसेस खरीद रहा है उसके घर में कोई ना कोई कुक, मेड, हेल्पर आ ही जाती है.
Yeah.
राइट?
Hmm.
पूरा खाना वो खुद नहीं बना रहे होते. तो हमारे कितने कस्टमर, और मेरा दिल अंदर से मुरझा जाता है, बोलते हैं अरे वंडर शेफ यार इतना बढ़िया, मैंने तो अपनी मेड को देना ही नहीं है.
Yeah. Huh.
कहा भाई दो, यूज करो, कभी खराब भी होगा दोबारा भी लोगे. मेरा तो 10 साल से चल रहा है. मैंने कहा कैसे? वो आई ओनली यूज व्हेन आई कुक.
Yeah.
मैंने कहा भाई कितना महंगा है. आज हमारा जो पैन है, एक जमाने में 3 टाइम्स इटली में, अभी तो इंडिया में बना रहे हैं. इट्स जस्ट दैट बेटर क्वालिटी, 2 साल की वारंटी देते हैं.
Hmm.
तो अगर एक आम ब्रांड का पेन 800 रुपए का होगा तो मेरा 900 रुपए का होगा. 100 रुपए का फर्क है.
Okay.
ठीक है, 10% का फर्क होगा. ऑफ कोर्स देन देयर आर चीपर ब्रांड्स हु वांट टू प्ले एट द बॉटम, तो उनका 200 रुपए का फर्क होगा.
Hmm.
बट 200 रुपए फॉर ए कस्टमर हु इज वॉकिंग आउट ऑफ ए मर्सिडीज और ए होंडा अकॉर्ड, नहीं नहीं, ये तो प्रीमियम पेन है. ये तो मैं खुद, मतलब बट दैट्स कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर, व्हाट कैन यू डू,
Hmm.
राइट?
Hmm.
एंड उसके बावजूद एक 500 करोड़ का नया माल बेच पाना प्रीमियम, भैया टीम को नमन है, पता नहीं कैसे बेच लिए थे, मुझे नहीं समझ में आता।
You said your brand is bigger than the revenue number.
या
What is uh, the reason for this gap? Like, or rather, let me say, how did your brand get bigger than your revenue number? Like, what kind of
एक तो आई
marketing
थिंक
strategy? Huh.
एक तो आई थिंक ब्रांडिंग इज इन माय डीएनए,
Hmm.
ठीक है? यू वेयर इट ऑन योर हार्ट, यू वेयर इट ऑन योर स्लीव, ओके? इट्स नॉट दैट आई एम जिंगोइस्टिक और मैं वंडर शेफ हर पार्टी में चिल्लाता हूँ, ऐसा नहीं है, बट इट्स व्हाट यू डू एवरी डे, राइट? एंड आई रिविजिट द एग्जांपल ऑफ सोडेक्सो। ऑलमोस्ट 20 साल पहले जब मैंने छोड़ा, लोगों कहते अरे सोडेक्सो बहुत बड़ा होता था यार, अभी खत्म हो गया क्या?
Hmm.
When today it is 4 or 5x bigger, right? So that is branding. That is branding.
Is branding advertising? Like, what do you mean by branding? Help me understand.
Branding is that you have been able to create some space in the customer's mind in whatever best pragmatic, practical way you could, right? So मैंने हमेशा अपने solutions निकाले हैं उसके। तो सोडेक्सो का आपने कहाँ नाम सुना होगा? मैं तो एचआर अवार्ड्स की बात करी ना।
Hmm.
अब आप तो नहीं थे एचआर अवार्ड्स में, कंज्यूमर तो नहीं
Yeah.
होता, वहाँ तो एचआर
Yeah.
वाले बैठे हैं,
Right.
ठीक है? पूरे हिंदुस्तान में शायद बहुत बहुत हुआ तो 10,000 लोगों को हम इम्पैक्ट कर लेते थे, बट दे वर डिसीजन मेकर्स।
Hmm.
चलो ए फ्यू लैक्स वर यूजिंग द कूपन, बट मुझे एक चीज समझ में आ गई कि हमारे को एक ही ब्रांडिंग स्पेस अवेलेबल है जो स्टिकर्स होते हैं रेस्टोरेंट के बाहर,
Yes. That, yeah.
राइट?
Now that you say it, I'm immediately able to connect. हाँ, okay, that's why I know Sodexo, क्योंकि रेस्टोरेंट के बाहर स्टिकर्स होते थे. हाँ.
टिपिकली रेस्टोरेंट के बाहर जो स्टिकर होता था वो इतने साइज का होता था,
Hmm.
क्रेडिट कार्ड्स का, एमएक्स,
Yes. Yeah.
डाइनर्स, वीजा मास्टर, ठीक है?
Hmm.
3 इंच बाय 5 इंच का।
Hmm.
मैंने कहा यार ये क्यों 3 इंच बाय 5 इंच का, हमारा तो लॉस्ट हो जाएगा इसमें, हमें कौन जानता है। मैं कहा इससे डबल साइज कर दो।
Hmm.
अच्छा, वो एक्सेप्ट कर लिया रेस्टोरेंट्स ने। ऐसा करो A4 साइज का कर दो। एंड
Okay.
देयर वाज अ टाइम जब हम A3 साइज के इतने बड़े-बड़े पोस्टर लगा रहे थे।
Hmm.
सोडेक्सो एक्सेप्टेड हियर,
Hmm.
दैट वाज ब्रांडिंग।
Hmm.
नाउ अगर मैं आपको नहीं बताऊं, आज आप सोडेक्सो में जाके पूछ लो कैसे ब्रांडिंग हुई, कोई बता नहीं सकता पूरे हिंदुस्तान में, 1.25 लाख
Yeah.
एम्प्लॉइज हैं।
Yeah. True.
यही इंसाइट है, ठीक
Hmm.
है? सो ऐसा नहीं कि कहीं मैंने कोई हार्वर्ड की किताब में पढ़ लिया या एमए की किताब में पढ़ लिया, इट्स जस्ट दैट यू फील अबाउट योर बिजनेस एंड यू सी व्हाट वर्क्स बेस्ट। ऐसे ही वंडर शेफ में एवरी सिंगल डे यू थिंक यू हैव टू बी कोहेरेंट। सो कैसे बनी ब्रांडिंग? थ्रू वेरियस थिंग्स, बट यू शुड बी कॉन्शियस ऑफ दैट। वन इज, मैंने कहा यार सब अपने डब्बे होते हैं जो प्रोडक्ट के दुकानों पे रखे होते हैं,
Hmm.
और सबके उस पे डब्बा हो गया, उसके ऊपर स्टैंप लग गया, प्रेस्टीज बजाज, प्रेस्टीज का लाल लग गया, बजाज का नीला लग गया, ये हो गया। क्या डब्बे हम खूबसूरत बना देते हैं ना, क्या खर्चा जाता है? इट्स जस्ट यू टू वर्क हार्डर।
Hmm.
तो हमने अपने लाइफस्टाइल इमेजेस के साथ अच्छे माहौल में आपका टी मेकर रखा है, पीछे बारिश हो रही है, अच्छे किचन में रखा है, प्रीमियमनेस उससे आप बता रहे हैं, एंड दीज आर ऑल सबलिमिनल मैसेजेस।
Right.
तो
Hmm.
डब्बों को हमने अच्छा किया।
Hmm.
अब हमारी देखा-देखी बहुत सी ब्रांड्स ने शुरू कर दी है। सो दीज़ आर नॉट सस्टेनेबल एडवांटेजेस, व्हिच इज़ व्हाई
Right.
यू हैव टू वर्क हार्ड।
Hmm.
जब डिजिटल आया, आज आप उठा के आप मेरे से इतनी बात कर रहे हैं, आई वुड एनकरेज यू टू चेक आवर डिजिटल मीडिया एसेट्स वर्सेस अदर ब्रांड्स इन आवर कैटेगरी। हमारे इंस्टाग्राम पे 6.5 लाख फॉलोअर्स हैं, 6.5 lakhs,
Wow.
which rivals cosmetic companies, lifestyle companies.
Yeah.
The largest brand of our industry has less than 50,000.
Hmm.
We have 11.5 lakh Facebook followers. Largest brand in the industry, which is 4 times bigger than us today, has less than 1 lakh.
Hmm.
So we have 10x.
Hmm.
Okay. We create content. We have invested in that. So I have understood where all branding is important. We give a lot of focus on demonstrations, not only through this Women Entrepreneur Network, wherever our very limited number of EBOs are there, outlets are there, is that everybody in our organization works harder. Everybody in Sodexo worked harder than the competition. That's the DNA.
Hmm.
Some smart ideas, 99% hard work. So
Hmm.
in our EBOs, अभी दिन में 8-10 लोग आते हैं। तो हमने कहा भाई आप ऐसा करो ना, आप घर पे जाके डेमो भी कर दो। तो 5 किलोमीटर के कैचमेंट में जाके वो डेमो भी करते हैं। चाहे 1 लाख रुपए की मशीन हो कॉफी मशीन, चाहे 2,000 रुपए की मशीन, दे विल डू दैट। जहां भी हमारे प्रमोटर्स हैं मॉडर्न ट्रेड में, हर एक को हमने ट्रेन कर करके डेमोस्ट्रेटर बना रखा है। सो एवरीथिंग यू ट्राई टू डू स्मार्टर, स्लाइटली बेटर देन अदर्स। आज हमारे 500 एसकेयू हैं, बट ओवर द लाइफ टाइम 1,000 एसकेयू ऐसे भी हैं जो बने हैं और खत्म हो गए, अपनी लाइफ उनकी खत्म हो गई, अपग्रेड हो गए। So in our lifetime, I think we have done about 2,000 SKUs. On every single one, every single packaging, I have seen the packaging. I have corrected the grammar. Okay. Because grammar is very important. बहुत सी
Yeah.
पैकेजिंग में आप देखेंगे गलतियां होती हैं।
हाँ.
राइट काइंड ऑफ, अब कोई भी प्रोडक्ट बन रही है तो मेरे दिल में कहीं ना कहीं आ रहा है कि यार ये चीज अच्छी होगी, चाहे मेरी प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट टीम भी ला रही है। आई कैन कंसेप्चुलाइज कि ये प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट इसका कैसे होगा, कस्टमर इसके बारे में क्या सोचना चाहता है, सुनना चाहता है, या ये बताएंगे तो ही खरीदेगा। अब नए कॉन्सेप्ट तो पता भी नहीं होता ना। आज मैं ऑटोमेटिक किचन रोबोट बेच रहा हूँ, किसने सोचा नहीं था वो होता है। या चाय मैजिक बेच रहा हूँ, आज तक तो थी नहीं ना ऑटोमेटिक चाय कुकिंग। तो वो मेरी जो पैकेजिंग है, विच इज माई एडवर्टीजमेंट, उसको क्या बोलना चाहिए, I have defined on every single one of those 2,000 products. ठीक है, फॉर मी ऑल इट टेक्स इज स्टेपिंग आउट, ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स बैठे हैं, उनके स्क्रीन पे देखना है, अच्छा भी इसको ऐसे कर दे, and बहुत कोफ्त होती है, बहुत तकलीफ होती है। यूनिक लिखना है, UNIK, भाई 10 साल है ना, अरे यार सही करना है स्पेलिंग, यू नो, बट टेक दैट and keep your level high to still think better, right? And so I think it's and of course I have great teams today. There's a great CMO, sales heads, everything. But you have to continue, क्योंकि मैं समझता हूँ जो प्रोमोटर वाला पैशन है ना, that losing the night sleep, वो कुछ भी आप कर लो किसी और में आ ही नहीं सकता। और वही लोग प्रोमोटर बनते हैं, वही वो तकलीफ झेलते हैं, वही वो रिस्क लेते हैं, और कभी कभी उनको रिवॉर्ड मिलता है।
Amazing. I think the biggest brand in your industry is Prestige, possibly, maybe 1,500-1,600 crore kind of sales.
2,500.
2,500 crores. Okay. So what's your path to reach there? I think you probably have more SKUs than Prestige, right? I mean, at the number of SKUs.
No, we don't have more SKUs. I'll tell you. First of all, Prestige कितनी पुरानी कंपनी है, आपको क्या लगता है?
Decades, 4, 5, 6, maybe. I don't know.
100-year old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100-year-old.
Hmm.
And they were the first pressure cooker company, and then Hawkins, right? Prestige, जो बीवी से करे प्यार, प्रेस्टीज से कैसे करे इनकार,
Right.
तो पैदा होने से पहले का ऐड है वो। ठीक है, आज भी इन द गुड ओल्ड डेज जब आप एक दूरदर्शन पे ऐड डालोगे तो सब हिंदुस्तान देख लेगा।
Right. Yeah. Bajaj also is because of that.
हाँ,
Yeah.
जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था, बड़ी शरारत करता था, मेरी चुकड़ी चोरी पकड़ी जाती, रोशनी देता बजाज। तो ये उस टाइम की ब्रांड्स हैं जो आपके दिमाग पे छाई हुई हैं। साथ में डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन बन जाता है। सो टू कैच अप विद प्रेस्टीज जो 100 साल पुरानी है और हम इफेक्टिवली 10-12 साल पुराने हैं, मेरे को कोई ऐसा वो नहीं है शौक कि आज उनसे बड़े हो जाएं। देयर इज अ वे। अब मैंने एटमबर्ग का नाम लेने की लिबर्टी ली थी, तो मैं जैसे एटमबर्ग का ही एग्जांपल लेता हूँ। इफ यू सी द काइंड ऑफ फंडिंग दे हैव रेज्ड,
I think 50 million or more, maybe.
no, much more.
Yeah.
Much more. Okay.
Hmm.
I can tell you. But and the way they are burnt, but right place right time होना पड़ता है। उनको उतनी फंडिंग मिली भी, of course dilution भी हुआ, but right place right time, right model and right people. So मतलब what they burnt is probably, my ear tells me, more than 10x of Wonderchef, right? So point is कि that is one way, अगर वो करो तो हो सकता है, but the obsession is not to be bigger than Prestige. The obsession is to be India's most loved kitchen brand, and I think we are quite there. We are quite there. Because whenever I speak to any customer, कभी प्लेन में कोई मिल गया, oh I have also invested in Wonderchef, एक चेहरे पे मुस्कान आ जाती है। And listen to the words, I have invested in Wonderchef. मेरा दिल अंदर से कहता है क्या 1,000-2,000 करोड़ लेके इन्वेस्टमेंट करा है तुमने, सोना खरीदा है क्या? लेकिन उनको लगता है इन्वेस्ट किया है ये प्रीमियम ब्रांड में। एंड आई थिंक दैट्स अ ग्रेट थिंग कि आपने एक मास, क्योंकि 500 करोड़ की भी मास है ब्रांड, सिर्फ प्रीमियम से नहीं चल सकता काम। मास है ब्रांड, लेकिन एक प्रीमियमनेस की इमेज बनाई है थ्रू क्वालिटी, थ्रू डेडिकेशन, थ्रू सर्विस, थ्रू डिजाइन, थ्रू एवरीथिंग. सो आई एम वेरी केयरफुल नॉट टू डू चीपर थिंग्स कि ब्रांड खराब हो जाए, घटिया क्वालिटी हो. दैट ऑल्सो प्रिवेंट्स फास्टर ग्रोथ. नाउ कमिंग टू नंबर ऑफ एसकेयूज, मैंने कहा कि हमारी वैरायटी सबसे ज्यादा है. बट मेरा सूप मेकर है प्रेस्टीज का, अगर नहीं है तो मेरा एक वो वैरायटी उससे ज्यादा हो गई. बट उसके प्रेशर कुकर में ही शायद 200-250 एसकेयू.
ओके.
मेरे प्रेशर कुकर में 25 है. राइट.
गॉट इट.
तो
ओके.
एसकेयू ज्यादा होंगे शायद, वैरायटी सॉल्यूशंस मेरे पास ज्यादा है. उसके पास 2 कॉफी मशीन है, मेरे पास 20 कॉफी मशीन. वैरायटी ज्यादा. बट कहीं ना कहीं एसक्यू शायद उनके ज्यादा होंगे, एंड देयर इज नो कंपटीशन कि एसक्यू ज्यादा किसके. आई थिंक आवर एम इज, Wonderchef has been the fastest growing brand year on year, quarter on quarter for the last 17 quarters.
In this
Consistent.
category.
Okay. Amongst all the listed players, क्योंकि listed players ही relevant है, उन्हीं का data मेरे पास आता है. So we are the fastest growing brand. 15 से 20% हम ईयर ऑन ईयर बढ़ रहे हैं. कई सारी ब्रांड्स पिछले 3-4 साल में CAGR नेगेटिव भी है उनका, कईयों का 5 से 7 है, हमारा 20% है. So I think
You're
we're
in
doing something.
multiple categories. No? It's not just home appliances, but also cookware. Like you would be in 2 categories. Cookware.
We are in kitchen which help you cook.
Hmm.
We are not outside the kitchen. किचन
Okay.
के अंदर आपको जो भी चाहिए.
Okay.
आपको सूप बनाना है, आपको टोस्ट करना है, आपको ग्राइंड करना है, आपको ब्लेंड करना है, स्मूदी बनानी है, ओटीजी चाहिए, एयर फ्रायर चाहिए, कुकटॉप है, चिमनी है. The only thing we don't do is dishwasher.
And maybe refrigerator and like.
रेफ्रिजरेटर आई कंसिडर इज आउटसाइड द किचन. कईयों के लिविंग रूम में रखा होता है कहीं, हाँ, बट वी डोंट डू रेफ्रिजरेटर एंड वी डोंट डू डिशवॉशर. बट बाकी हम सब कुछ करते हैं और सबसे पहले करते हैं.
The automation products that you launched, like the chai maker and the chef, are these niche products, or do you see them having big market share or like big potential?
ये पहली बात है, कोई भी आप इनोवेशन करोगे बाय डेफिनेशन नीश ही होगा. ठीक है, अनलेस यू हैव फाउंड द नेक्स्ट चैट जीपीटी और व्हाट्सएप और फेसबुक.
हाँ, राइट.
कोई भी आप करोगे, एंड एज यू अंडरस्टूड दैट आवर डीएनए इज नॉट टू बर्न कैश कि अरे अब ये तो सब चाय मेकर है, घर घर में चाय बनती है, चलो मैं 100 करोड़ की फंडिंग उठा के. अब कोई स्टार्टअप को फंडिंग मिल जाएगी और चाय मेकर जैसा बना दिया ना, तो 50 करोड़ की फंडिंग आज मिल जाएगी.
हाँ, बिकॉज वो
टैम
टैम दिखा सकते हो, आपके हर घर में चाय बनती है.
हाँ, लेकिन वो सिंगल प्रोडक्ट लास्ट नहीं करती, उन लोगों को आता भी नहीं है. ठीक. तो हमारा ये है कि नई चीज करी, उसको हम ऑर्गेनिकली बढ़ाएंगे, बेचेंगे. ठीक है, मैं उस पर लगाऊंगा 1-2 करोड़ लगाऊंगा, 50 करोड़ नहीं लगाऊंगा उसके बढ़ाने में. दम होगा तो ऑर्गेनिकली बढ़ती जाएगी और हम उस पर लगाते जाएंगे पैसा. नहीं होगा तो, बट हम करते वही हैं टेस्ट करके जिसमें दम होता है. तो ये जो सारी कैटेगरी है मेरी 10 से 20 करोड़ की मोट्स बन जाती है. क्योंकि जिस दिन वो 50 करोड़ की हो गई, उस दिन फिर 10 और कंपनीज और फिर 50 और कंपनीज में कूदी जाती है. और ऐसा नहीं कि इसलिए मैं ग्रो नहीं कर रहा हूँ. ऑब्वियसली आई वांट टू टेक इट टू 50 करोड़, बट कई कैटेगरी में दम 10-20 करोड़ वाले ही होता है. एंड येट आई एम हैप्पी टू स्टिक देयर बिकॉज दैट इज वंडरशेफ. कि आपको 20 मिनट में सूप कैसे बनाना है, जो आपको बनाने में 1.5 घंटा लगता है. सब्जी काट के डाल दी, बढ़िया सूप बन गया, फुल ऑफ फाइबर इनसाइड बट टेस्ट स्मूथ. कोल्ड प्रेस जूसर, बेस्ट जूस पॉसिबल दैट यू कैन हैव फॉर रॉ वेजिटेबल्स एंड फ्रूट्स, वो बन गया. ऑटोमेटिक प्रेशर कुकर हो गया, ऑटोमेटिक रोबोटिक कुकर हो गया. एंड नथिंग लाइक द राइट टाइम फॉर एनी प्रोडक्ट. प्रॉब्लम इज इफ यू वेट फॉर द राइट टाइम, यू आर नॉट एन इनोवेटर.
You'll be too late if you wait for the right time.
And if you are before time, naturally it will be a niche product. Let me give you an example that you will resonate with. We launched air fryer 7 years ago, pretty much the same time as Philips in India. People used to say, क्या करना है एयर फ्रायर का? बिल्कुल नहीं. हम कहते थे यार, विदाउट ऑयल कुकिंग हो रही है आपकी, फ्राइंग हो रही है. जिसने ले भी लिया वो किस लिए यूज करता था? वो मैकेन के फ्राइज लाके जो ऑलरेडी तेल से भरे हुए हैं, उसको लाके क्रिस्प कर लिया.
राइट.
समोसा लाके रीहीट कर लिया एयर फ्रायर में, बड़े खुश हैं कि 2-3 ड्रॉप ऑयल निकल गया उसमें से. ठीक है, 5-6 साल लगे. 5-6 साल लगे फिलिप्स, वंडरशेफ, फ्यू अदर ब्रांड्स. पिछले 3 साल से एयर फ्रायर में पागलपन मच गया मार्केट में. पीपल आर गोइंग क्रेजी. फनी थिंग, दे आर स्टिल यूजिंग फॉर द सेम थिंग्स. लेकिन दिस इज व्हाट आई कॉल द टिपिंग पॉइंट. अब एक सोसाइटी में जो होता है ना कि वो अर्ली इनोवेटर्स जो ग्राफ होता है, सडनली द जे कर्व हैज स्टार्टेड. दिस दिवाली everybody, and last Diwali, everybody ran out of air fryers. They couldn't have enough. It's the number one gift today. कौन air fryer डब्बा सा देगा काला?
Hmm.
But it's the number one gift today.
Hmm. How big is the air fryer category for you?
I will not reveal full numbers here, but ठीक है. And I think we also had, like many other brands, our supply constraints and all थोड़ी और बड़ी हो सकती थी. But
Okay.
I think everybody is making merry on air fryers still till the time the party lasts.
Hmm.
Probably it will last for 3-4 years. Who knows?
Hmm.
But एक कैटेगरी बन गई इंडियन हाउस होल्ड में, जैसे मिक्सी होती थी अब वो बनती जा रही है.
Hmm.
So I think it's a category here to stay. And अब आपने पूछा चाय मेकर या किचन रोबोट. Frankly, I think in next 4 to 5 years, one of these products will become the air fryer.
Hmm.
Because जो शेफ मैजिक है, जो हमारा किचन रोबोट, मतलब आपको खाना ना बिल्कुल नहीं खाना भी बनाना आता है तो भी आप बना सकते हो उसमें. और आपको खड़े होकर स्टरिंग नहीं करनी, ये नहीं करनी. बस रेसिपी के हिसाब से चीज़ें डाले जाओ, आराम से जाके बैठो, मोबाइल पे आता रहता है. अच्छा जी, अब हो गया 10 मिनट, स्टरिंग हो गई, अब आप ये डाल दो. वेइंग स्केल है. तो आप संजीव कपूर जी का खाना उसी टेस्ट का आप अपने आप बना सकते हो, इवन इफ
Wow.
यू हैव नेवर एंटर्ड किचन बिफोर, राइट?
Eh,
तो इससे
So
बढ़िया क्या चीज़ हो
it
सकती है?
rotates on its own? Like how does it work?
It is like a big mixer jar
Hmm.
which has a heater also.
Hmm.
So चॉप भी करता है, ग्राइंड भी करता है, स्टर भी करता है, नीड भी करता है,
Wow.
भून देता है आपका, सेल्फ वॉश भी कर लेता है, सेल्फ क्लीन भी कर लेता है, ऊपर स्टीमर अटैचमेंट है तो स्टीमिंग भी कर देगा.
Hmm.
सो प्रीटी मच एवरीथिंग एक्सेप्ट बेकिंग या रोटी बनाना वो कर लेता है.
Hmm.
बेकिंग के लिए भी परफेक्ट डो बना देता है क्योंकि वेइंग स्केल है, फर्मेंटेशन प्रॉपर है. सो स्पीड कंट्रोल, टेम्परेचर कंट्रोल, हीटिंग की पावर का कंट्रोल और टाइमर, 4 चीज़ें होती हैं, वो चारों हैं इसमें. दैट्स हाउ वी हैव डिजाइन्ड इट.
Hmm.
उसपे हमने 500 रेसिपीज़ करीब बना दी हैं और ऐड करते जा रहे हैं, ठीक है? ज़बरदस्त प्रोडक्ट है, लेकिन साल का 10-15 करोड़ बिकता है.
What's the price of one unit?
30,000.
Okay.
ठीक है?
Not
Obviously
mass
that is a,
market.
it's not, clearly not mass market.
Hmm.
लेकिन इतना भी प्रीमियम नहीं है कि सिर्फ 10 करोड़ का प्रोडक्ट बने.
Hmm. हाँ, मतलब
लेकिन वही
people
जैसा
spend 30,000 on a fridge, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं खर्च कर सकते.
100%.
हाँ.
अरे फ्रिज तो यार चलो एसेंशियल है आज.
Hmm.
पीपल स्पेंड 30,000 ऑन ए मिनी इंडियन हॉलिडे. फॉरगेट फॉरेन, फॉरेन में तो
Yeah.
लाखों लगते हैं,
Yeah.
ठीक है?
Yeah.
मिनी इंडियन हॉलिडे 2 दिन आप जाके होटल में रह जाओ,
Hmm.
फैमिली के साथ, एक कमरा
Hmm.
और खाना-पीना. तो 30,000 इज़ नथिंग टुडे.
Hmm.
लेकिन फ़र्क कैटेगरी का है. मैंने बोला 10,000 का सूट लेके आप रख दोगे, यू विल नेवर क्वेश्चन इट अगेन.
Hmm.
ठीक है? जूते की हील टूट जाएगी, मैडम जूता पहन के चल रहे थे तो गारंटी थोड़ी होती है. यहाँ हमारा 400-500 रुपए की केटल ले लेगा, 2 साल की गारंटी. अगर साहब ज़रा सी हिल गई ना, तो मतलब सोशल मीडिया पे, ये वंडर शेफ, हमने तो संजीव कपूर को ट्रस्ट किया था. ये हमारी तो, मेरे को तो रिप्लेसमेंट चाहिए, मेरे को तो सर्विस चाहिए ही नहीं, यू नो.
हाँ.
सो दैट्स द कैटेगरी वी आर इन. इट्स अ टफ कैटेगरी,
It's a tough
बट दैट्स द
category.
एक्साइटमेंट.
हाँ. हाँ,
उसमें आपका
people
सस्टेन
will be very vocal अगर कुछ खराब हो गया सोशल मीडिया,
और
right?
मतलब उसको जूस निकाल लेना, जान निकाल लेनी है प्रोडक्ट की.
हाँ.
ब्लेंडर तो साहब 5-5 साल, बेचारा प्लास्टिक का ब्लेंडर, 5-5 6-6 साल बाद भी, नहीं मेरे को तो इसका जी कंपोनेंट, अभी वो कंपोनेंट बदल गए, अपग्रेड हो गए, नहीं जी मेरे को तो वही चाहिए. हम कह रहे हैं भाई नई प्रोडक्ट पे आप 50% ऑफ ले लो,
Hmm.
और क्या करें?
Hmm.
नहीं जी मेरे को तो ये चाहिए, आई एम टेकिंग यू टू कंज्यूमर कोर्ट अदरवाइज. तो यू हैव टू.
And what is the chai maker price at?
चाय मेकर इज 4,999.
Okay.
So it can be, it's a fantastic device. Let me show you if you want. Okay, मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ कि क्या है इसमें, हमने इनोवेशन क्या किया है. That is my real innovation that I'm proud of. So चाय हम कैसे बनाते हैं? हम पहले पानी गर्म करते हैं, उसमें पत्ती डाल देते हैं, चीनी डाल देते हैं, we let it brew, right?
Hmm.
और फिर जब वो ब्रू हो जाती है, चाय काली हो जाती है, तब हम उसमें दूध डालते हैं, उसको एक आध उबाला देते हैं.
Hmm.
राइट? दैट इज द स्टैंडर्ड वे ऑफ मेकिंग टी.
Hmm.
इंग्लिश चाय पीनी है तो आप खाली ब्रू कर लेते हैं और कप में डाल लेते हैं, उसके बाद एक ड्रॉप ऑफ मिल्क डाल देते हैं. बट ज्यादातर हिंदुस्तान, बाय द वे वी कंडक्टेड द रिसर्च, 85% पीपल इन इंडिया हैव मसाला चाय.
Hmm.
अदरक,
Ginger
चाय
and
मसाला,
हाँ.
इलायची, सौंफ, कुछ डालते हैं, ठीक है.
Right.
एक्चुअली माय वाइफ मेड एन ऑब्जर्वेशन कि इंडिया में काढ़ा जो होता है ना, वही चाय था.
हाँ.
ये तो अंग्रेजों ने लाके चाय मिला दिया, तो हमने काढ़े के अंदर चाय डालते हैं, हम चाय के अंदर डालेंगे.
True, true, true.
सो प्रॉब्लम इज कि जब आप चाय चढ़ाते हो, आप 10 मिनट तक चाय को गुलाम बन जाते हो।
Hmm.
अब आपको वहीं खड़ा होना है, वहीं चाय, अब आपकी चाय बननी है, और फिर दूध डालना है, और दूध डाल के तो आप हिल नहीं सकते, क्योंकि आपने उधर देखा और दूध उबला।
Hmm. Yeah,
और अब
yeah,
मैं
yeah.
आप गारंटी देता हूँ, आप 7 बारी चाय बनाओ, एक बारी उबलेगी उबलेगी, वो गैस के आपके खराब करेगी।
Hmm.
दूसरी प्रॉब्लम चाय में आती है कि आप अटक जाते हो, उस टाइम दूसरा कोई काम नहीं कर सकते। तीसरी प्रॉब्लम आती है कि चाय बहुत बारी कंसिस्टेंट नहीं बनती।
Hmm.
ये आप सेम इंग्रेडिएंट्स भी डालोगे, सेम चम्मच से नाप के डालोगे, बट व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट यू आर नॉट कंट्रोलिंग द टाइमिंग, यू आर नॉट कंट्रोलिंग द टेम्परेचर, कंसिस्टेंट आएगी नहीं।
Hmm.
तो उसको हमने क्रैक किया है सिंपल डिवाइस से। दिस इज द डिवाइस।
Okay.
ओके,
There's an induction heater in the base.
इंडक्शन हीटर, देयर इज नो
Okay.
कपलर, बट
Hmm.
देयर इज अ फ्रॉथर इनसाइड व्हिच रोटेट्स,
Hmm.
एंड द रियल इनोवेशन इज दिस मिल्क कंटेनर ऑन द टॉप। इसके
Okay.
अंदर आप दूध डाल देते,
Hmm.
तो यू पुट वाटर,
Huh.
chai,
Hmm.
masala,
Hmm.
everything here, switch on
Hmm.
the button,
Hmm.
and you put some milk on the top.
Hmm.
When the tea is brewed,
Hmm.
consistent, it reaches a certain temperature, the milk gets released, and then it gives 2 3 boils to the milk. But it stops just short of boiling over.
Hmm.
अंदर पीसीबी
Wow.
है, कंट्रोलर, हमने सारा कंट्रोल कर लिया,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So every single time you get consistency,
Hmm.
never boils over,
Hmm.
and you put everything. Like what I do is I put everything. It's on my desk.
Hmm.
Every day I have this tea. I serve 5 6 other people,
Hmm.
whomsoever may care to partake. I put everything. I press the button. I go somewhere or I'm working. 10 minutes. I come back. Tea is ready.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This
बट
is.
जो जिस तरीके में आपको फिल कर पा रहा हूँ, उस तरीके से अगर मैं 10 लाख लोगों को कर दूं, 10 लाख लोग खरीद लेंगे, लेकिन दैट इज मार्केटिंग।
Hmm.
वो धीरे धीरे ही होता है।
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Fascinating. Uh, I want to end a bit with understanding about people. You said the most important thing is people. Do you have some formulas on how to identify right people, how to empower people, how to make people work 12 hours? Like you said that, people would come into office at 9 o'clock and they would stay till 12 o'clock in the Sodexo days. And so how do you do that? Like, what have you learned about hiring, retaining, managing people?
So first of all, please do not be mistaken. The good old days of Sodexo are no more there.
True, true, true. Yeah, yeah. Work-life balance.
जो 30 साल पहले था, अभी वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस जैसी खतरनाक चीजें एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी, इसलिए सोडेक्सो बन गया, नहीं बन सकता आज।
Yeah, yeah.
और वो जेन जी और जेन वाई और जेन अल्फा, पता नहीं कितनी जेन्स आ गई, उस टाइम ऐसा कुछ नहीं था, सब जेंटलमैन थे, काम करते थे चुप। डर लगता था नौकरी छूट गई तो क्या करेंगे, अभी बहुत नौकरी है, ठीक है।
Huh, huh,
सो अभी
huh,
वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस हो गया।
huh,
इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज दैट thankfully by God's grace I have been able to create winning teams
hmm,
in all scenarios.
hmm,
अब 12 घंटे नहीं काम करते, 1 2 हैं मेरे जैसे पागल लोग और भी हैं हमारे, जिनका आई एम प्राउड ऑफ, वो करते हैं, एंड आई थिंक
hmm,
दीज़ आर द शाइनिंग लाइट्स, बीकॉन्स ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। बाकी 7 8 घंटे वाला काम है। देखिए, पहली चीज़ ये है कि माय फॉर्मूला इज़ वैल्यू लॉयल्टी अबव ऑल एल्स। एक से एक ब्राइट शाइनिंग स्टार्स आएँगे, चले जाएँगे। लॉयल पीपल आर लॉयल पीपल, ओके? कीप देम टुगेदर, क्योंकि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उन पे ही खड़ा होता है। बट यू आल्सो नीड ब्राइट स्टार्स, राइट? सो looking back 30 years, 32 years of building brands, building companies, building businesses, I think I have seen that people who work with me get infected with my passion, with my commitment, with my value system. And that has lasted throughout any business that I've built. And I think that is probably the most important aspect of an entrepreneur, that energy that you bring together. Okay. And you hope that some of them carry forward that infection. That's number one. Second thing is a clear vision. Now, vision can't always be Steve Jobs, I want to make a dent in the world. You know, we have a very simple vision. that we want people to be able to cook healthy, tasty food conveniently. और उसके लिए एक स्पिरिट ऑफ प्रोग्रेस हमेशा रखनी है कि हमेशा आगे बढ़ना है, और वो पाथ दिखाने वाला होना चाहिए. Nothing worse than a leader who doesn't know where he is going. And that is my main job. इस सोडेक्सो में जब 6 महीने भी कुछ नहीं हो रहा था, एवरी डे वी वुड हैव दिस एंथुजियास्टिक मीटिंग. और ऐसा नहीं कि 6 महीने बाद वहां की छत गिर गई और दुनिया बदल गई. उसके बाद भी बहुत चैलेंज था. 4-5 साल लगे ये विश्वास करने में कि ये बिजनेस अब चल जाएगा. बट दैट्स द जॉब ऑफ द लीडर, दैट वो एंथुजियाज्म हमेशा बना के रखना है. एंड आई एम नॉट ए गाय हु इज जिंगोइस्टिक हु विल बी ये मैन विल डू इट. ये मैं आपके सामने ऐसे बोल रहा हूँ, कंपनी में कभी मैं ऐसे नहीं बोलता. ठीक है, जब किसी की तारीफ कर दी एक आध बारी वो बात अलग है, बट बेसिकली थिंकिंग हार्ड. अच्छा ये ऐसे चला, अच्छा इसने अपना ये कार्व आउट किया है इस कंपनी में, ये वाला मेडिकल अलाउंस कार्व आउट किया है सोडेक्सो देने के लिए, तो ये तो हम इस 10 जगह और कर सकते हैं. अच्छा ये 5-7 लोग हैं जो हमारा शेफ मैजिक रोज हमारी वेबसाइट पे खरीद रहे हैं, तो यार वो 10 कैसे खरीद सकते हैं. लेट्स एनालाइज दैट. Do the root cause analysis, do the opportunity analysis. Let's analyze what is going wrong. Let's see what is going right. Right. So basically, that is showing path according to me. That is showing direction कि कैसे हमें सोचना है. Right. Number 2. Number 3, I am very mathematically driven. It's very important for any leader, any entrepreneur to be mathematically oriented. ताकि हवा में बातें ना हो, people can't make a fool out of you, because ultimately everything should be measured. What gets measured gets done. Okay. Another thing is trust. You must deliver on what you are saying. Sales people may or may not deliver because किसी के सर पे बंदूक रख के आपको फोर्स नहीं कर सकते बिजनेस. बट एज ए प्रोमोटर, एज ए सीईओ, आपने अगर कुछ कमिट किया है तो आपको करना है. ठीक है. अगर आपने बोला है कि सैलरी इस टाइम जाएगी तो जानी ही है, चाहे मुझे अपने पर्सनल बैंक से निकाल के देनी पड़े. ऐसा भी वक्त हुआ है वंडरशेफ में, किसी भी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए होगा. अगर आपने बोला ये प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च हम करेंगे, उस पर हम मेहनत कर रहे हैं, हम करेंगे, और नहीं करेंगे तो उसका पूरा आंसर कि क्यों ये प्रोडक्ट नहीं बन पा रही है, क्या है रीज़न. ठीक है, जो भी आपके किसी के करियर की बात कर रहे हैं. सो पीपल ट्रस्ट यू एंड दैट्स व्हाट गिव्स राइज टू ए लॉयल बैंड ऑफ followers. And in Sodexo, our founder, Pierre Bello, and I had the opportunity of working with him closely. He was the iconic first generation entrepreneur who was also the CEO, and he built a $20 billion company across 82 countries by the time I had left. That is almost the time he got retired at the ripe old age of 78. He used to say one thing, and he was from the top MBA college of France, HEC. He used to say one thing, that I am the smartest in my company because I surround myself with people smarter than me. So my finance man knows better finance than me. My marketing man should know better marketing than me. My salesman is a better salesman than me. My service guy has the better ability to take shit from consumers than me, and so on. So, right. So basically, you have to be surrounded by people who are better than you, and that's your smartness. So a lot of simple learnings across life, and to top it all, hard, sincere work every single day. Create systems in the organization that facilitate people to work hard with the right kind of balance that is required today. A practice that I started almost 28 years ago in Sodexo is ManCom meeting, management committee meeting, when I had 3 people in management committee to speak of. But always I held that even if it was just with my secretary, we'll have the management committee meeting every single Tuesday without fail. If I'm traveling, if anybody's traveling, it will be held now on Zoom, otherwise on telephone call. Every Tuesday morning, we'll have that meeting. We will see what have we achieved till that day of the week, in the month, where would we reach, any corrections to be made, brings people together, sorts out the problems. And yeah, the biggest thing of all, as people say that you seek and you shall get. So what did I seek? Frankly, looking back, I did not seek money or ownership or entrepreneurship. I was a simple middle class guy. My dad was a teacher who left when I was 16. So I could not have imagined becoming an entrepreneur. I didn't come from a business family by far. So I did not seek that I'll own a business one day. I did not seek that I'll become a CEO at a young age. What I sought and what drove my choices was a clean, apolitical work environment. Because what I could see is that I am averse to twisted talk, to political games played in companies. And I realized that within the first year of working. And I thought that I don't have much chance in corporate sector because, I can't handle all this. And I can handle all the pressure in the world. I can handle negativity, but I can't handle politics. And I got an offer from Citibank when I was working with Blowplast, but I chose to go to Sodexo, unknown name, because I knew I might have the chance to build something on my own. I didn't know the spelling of entrepreneurial spirit at that time,
Hmm.
but I wanted to be apolitical.
Hmm.
And I think God has given me that.
Hmm.
Ever since I started my career, even in Blowplast, I had this independent little charge of making skybags, which worked for me. And a great company, great environment. So I have always tried to build that kind of a culture, which is apolitical. How do you build that? Through open communication. In fact, communication is the topmost of our core values. And I am at pains to explain to people why communication, why is it so important? I say communication is important because people play politics with knowledge, with information.
Hmm. Okay.
ये तुझे नहीं बताया ना, मेरे को पता है ना, मैं राइट टाइम पे बताऊंगा बॉस के सामने.
Okay. Hmm.
Even dirty communication, right? So I always discourage, नहीं ओपन बात करो ना जो करनी है.
Hmm.
और शुरू में मुझे लगता था शायद मैं गलत भी हो सकता हूँ भाई, अगर सारे लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं, ज्यादातर लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं, तो मैं तो मिसफिट हूँ शायद कहीं. बट अगेन लुकिंग बैक, बाय एंड लार्ज आई हैव हैड सक्सेसेस इन माय लाइफ, तो मैं सोचता हूँ कि शायद ये ठीक ही होगा. अनफॉर्चुनेटली ज्यादातर लोग नहीं फॉलो करते ये बात, बट ये बात शायद बेटर है और मेरे लोगों को तो अच्छा लगता है ना, विच इज वाई दे स्टे विद मी.
Hmm.
आई हैव नॉट ऑलवेज बीन द बेस्ट कंपनी, द हाईएस्ट पेड कंपनी, बट व्हाई हैव पीपल लास्टेड विद मी फॉर लॉन्ग? उसके बिना तो बनते ही नहीं कंपनीज.
Hmm.
So I think it's because they get a clean working environment where everyone gets space to fly as high as they can. जो भी उनकी कैपेबिलिटी है, चाहे वो सेल्स ऑफिसर है, चाहे वो एएसएम है, चाहे वो जोनल मैनेजर है, चाहे वो प्रेसिडेंट है, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है, जनरल मैनेजर है. So I think that has been a great thing, and I would encourage people to be apolitical, not only in their behavior but also ensure that their work culture, howsoever big you may become, is the same.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you, Akshay. Real pleasure.